It's positively brilliant. The Brilliant Idiots Podcast.
Yep, Charlamagne the God,
Andrew Schulz.
We are the Brilliant Idiots, and today's podcast is brought to you by Talkspace. Talkspace
Squarespace.
Squarespace? No, it's
a
Talkspace.
different space. Oh, I got Squarespace on mine.
You know, it's Talkspace. But thank you to all the spaces that sponsor the Brilliant Idiots, okay? But today's podcast is brought to you by Talkspace, all right? Talkspace is the online therapy company that makes it easy for you to connect a licensed and experienced therapist, and for a fraction of the cost of traditional therapy, okay? Talkspace is confidential, convenient, and best of all, affordable.
Bro, that was brilliant that you picked up on that.
Hey, man.
It says in bold.
I'll talk to somebody.
Yeah, we got to talk to Matt Raz. Matt Raz, bro.
I kind of get paid to talk, just like these perfect therapists at Talkspace.com/idiot. Okay.
Yes,
Preach.
I'm just saying.
Somebody preach.
Give the man a week off and he's ready to cook again. Let's
Give him
go,
a pulpit,
Rest
matter
in
of
knees.
fact.
Rest in knees and he's dunking.
You want to show your support for the Brilliant Idiots podcast? Use code IDIOTS to get $30 off your first month. That's Talkspace.com/idiots and code IDIOTS to save $30 on your first month with Talkspace.
God
now,
damn.
we have a special guest here, my guy. I consider him one of my spiritual advisors. You know what I'm saying?
One of my brothers.
My man, Pastor Carl Lentz, is here.
My pleasure, my brothers. Thank you for having me.
How are you?
I'm great. I'm pumped to be a part of this podcast. I'll tell you that.
Pastor, author.
I only go by author now. You
Only
know,
author?
I feel like once you write a book, it's like how you doing? I'm an author. It just gives you weight you didn't have before.
That's interesting you say that, because we had Bishop T.D. Jakes on the Breakfast Club, and he said, I don't want to misquote him, but he said he don't like to be referred to as just a pastor.
Yeah.
Because if you call him a pastor, he'll let you down.
Yeah. Well,
what does that mean?
It just depends on what people's view of a pastor is. So some people will put you on a pedestal. And it's just a matter. And if a pastor does his job right, the first thing a pastor will say is, "I'm your pastor, not your God, not your guru, not your whatever, because I'm going to fail you. But my job is to lead people to Jesus who won't." So a lot of pastors love that kind of heat. So they ultimately are going to lead people to be disillusioned. So that's what he would have meant by that. I like that when people. I'm like a guy that pastors.
Yeah.
Being a pastor doesn't define me.
Now, do a lot of pastors say that just because they got a lot of side chicks in a congregation?
It's good to be on this podcast. Let me tell you.
Translation, Jesus help.
I think any sort of power is power. So no matter what field it is, no matter what you do for a living, if you misuse it, it's going to go bad real quick.
Yeah.
Interesting, because what's going on in Hollywood right now, it kind of happened in the religious circuit already.
Been happening.
Yeah.
It's happened in every circuit. I don't think the misuse of power, has been, just designated for one area of life. But churches maybe worse than ever. Worse than any.
The power's divine.
Well, think about it.
It's a different relationship.
That's where a lot of bad religion started, was people using that kind of faith paradigm to jockey for power positions. And church has been doing that for years.
So Harvey Weinstein says, "Yo, if we do this sexual act, you're going to get a role in this movie." Imagine someone said, "Yo, if you do this sexual act, you're going to get a role in heaven."
Wow.
Worse, it's easier to manipulate, because it's like it's a pastor. It's like you trust what they say.
That's
so it's
God.
like, hey, this is all good. This is appropriate. This is what I do if I really like you.
Yeah.
And that's how it perpetuates.
That's why those boys were giving up cheeks, bro.
No.
Mo Cheeks. Shout out. Mo Cheeks.
Shout out to Mo. Yeah, that's the guy.
That's kind of a jihad sacrifice. It's like,
Your booty hole?
you give up the cheeks, you know what I'm saying? In the name of Christ.
That's right.
Listen, I feel like right now people need spirituality more than ever, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that's the problem with the world. I feel like people don't have a spiritual foundation. Like, and I'm not knocking none of the atheists out there. I'm just saying, even if you don't believe in God, you have to believe in something bigger than all of us, right?
Yeah, well, like we were talking about with atheists, the issue with atheists is not faith, because it takes way more faith to believe that there is no God. You came from nothing. You're here for nothing. And you're headed to nothing, than it does to believe in Jesus. So faith is not the issue. Atheists are spiritual. It's just an interesting, logical line to follow. If you go, okay, you don't believe in anything. It takes a lot of faith to do that. To imagine that you just happened and you're here for nothing and you're headed into more nothing.
Yeah, I feel like in a way that they often say like religious people are closed-minded, and I'm someone who was raised with no religion, but I find that I think atheism is way easier to believe than religion, right? Because you have to be really open-minded.
No, harder to believe, you mean?
No, easier. Because for me, I think you have to be really open-minded to believe in something that isn't there. Right? It's easy to believe in something it's easy to believe in something that you can see, right?
If you're an atheist, you're still believing in nothing, though.
Exactly. So you believe it. You're like, okay, I die, I go into the ground, and then that's it, right?
But where'd you come from?
A penis.
I've never talked to an atheist, so I don't know. I'll be honest, I don't know what they believe in.
I mean, my folks, I think, are both. I would assume both atheists. Yeah.
Very rarely do atheists believe the same thing either.
Maybe
So
my
it's
mom
really
is. My mom, I think, is. My dad, pretty much 100%, and he's a weird religion because he grew up Catholic, and I think he had some bad situations in the Catholic
Like
Church.
what?
Not
Like
that.
what?
No,
Like
he just
what?
had like a
Divulge.
He had like a very judgmental priest once. Like he went to confess his sins, and like the priest just berated him. Like I think the priest had a bad day or something like that, and my dad left there feeling like, I don't feel love, I don't feel forgiveness, I don't feel any of these things I'm supposed to feel in this situation. But my dad has this interesting relationship with religion because he said this very honestly, and there's no condescension in this whatsoever. I mean, you've met my father; he's not a condescending guy at all. He's like, I envy the relationship a lot of people have with religion. He goes, I wish I could feel that.
I don't envy the relationship people have with religion. I envy the relationship people have with God.
Well said. You took the words. I mean, I think that's most of your listeners, I guarantee you would, if they trace their experience with God, good or bad, they go back to a person. So most people, I say, come to church. They'll be like, oh man, I'm not into religion. I'll say, I'm trying to talk to you about Jesus first. Let me tell you what we believe about God, church, religion. We're actually a part of a faith where we believe Jesus came to destroy religion. Religion is the box. It's the rules. It's what you have to do. And I think Jesus he stands alone in that regard. But most people have had no issues with God. It's people that claim to know God, and that's our battle.
Yeah, the messenger ruins it for the guy who sent in the message, our girl who's the divine being that sent in the message.
It's a game of telephone. You sit around. You ever play that game?
Yeah.
With the 8 people around a table, and you start with one thing, and you say, "Hey, polka dot panties," and then by the time it comes back to you,
it's called the news right now.
Yes, the news, right? It's like by the time you tell 8 people, all of a sudden, this pink elephant is coming back to you.
Yeah.
So I mean, if that can happen with us, why can't it happen with the people interpreting religion?
Right.
How do you rebuild it, though? Like, how do you rebuild, like you talk about the church and all the different sex scandals that happened in the church, like religion over the years. How do you rebuild people's trust in religion?
Oh, I think it starts with the right foundation. So you have to start by letting people know out of the gates, this is not about people. This is not about man-made stuff. Like, we're human. We're hypocritical. We have our own struggles. If you walk into our church, the last thing you're hearing is the people on the stage are better than, or we're holier than. We're trying to talk about who is holier, which is God. And I think when you start you guys, I loved your Moral Truth podcast.
Moral
Honesty, my gosh. But it was that if you start on an honest plane, it's a lot easier to grow healthy. A lot of people start on a dishonest plane. And with church, you have to start fresh. Almost people say, hey, rethink the way you've considered this. And that's what we're trying to do. That's what kind of church we have, and that I've always been impacted by, is churches that just try to keep it real. Not crazy, nothing, out of the ordinary, just honest.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm seeing in a lot of pastors lately, man. I mean, whether it's Pastor Carl Lentz, whether it's Bishop TDJ, he's not a pastor. What do you call it? He's a bishop, right?
Yes, there's different terminology, especially in the black church and their significant titles, but yeah.
My guy, Stephen Furtick, it's like everybody is just trying to be as spiritually honest as possible. They're not trying to make you believe anything other than in God, in Jesus.
Well, I always tell people what's interesting, if you start reading the Bible, it's the opposite of what you see portrayed sometimes. So anybody in the Bible is really clear to talk about their weakness, especially the Apostle Paul, who wrote most of the New Testament. His progression as a spiritual leader was, I'm the least of the disciples. And then later on in his life, he goes, I'm the least of God's people. By the end of his ministry career in the New Testament, he says, I'm the chief of all sinners. The whole goal of Christianity is not to say, look at me, I got it together. It's to say, look how broken I am and what God can do through me.
Yep.
Who can't relate to that?
But see, that's the problem with the world that we live in now. We won't allow anybody to be broken. Now, I always say this era would never let Malcolm Little become Malcolm X, because they'd still be focused on him being Malcolm Little.
Right.
They would never let that guy grow and then start preaching and talk about how God transformed him. Oh, shut the hell up. You're lying. You're still selling heroin or sleeping with white women or whatever it is.
So it's the opposite of Instagram, the New Testament.
Yeah.
Right, Instagram is I'm amazing. Look at this, my skin is perfect, my teeth are really white, and my body looks exactly like
Nobody
this.
Instagrams their bad days.
Exactly.
Nobody Instagrams.
Actually, I always say I'm pretty honest on Instagram. Like
you're an anomaly,
but those are the people that win.
But you're also successful. So Charlamagne. So like, what makes y'all stand out on a show like this or in a media industry like this is that people know whether they like it or not like it, they know you're going to keep it real.
Yes.
That to me, you can hang your hat on that. Like, you don't have to agree with me, but I'm going to tell you how I feel. I'm going to keep it real, and we're going to go from there.
We're flawed people. Like, why people love Cardi B for that reason.
Yes. Yeah.
People love Tiffany Haddish for that reason.
Line she says,
like,
I got a bag, and I fix
my teeth. People don't say that no more. People just show you the new teeth. Like, hey. People don't talk like that no more.
I think it's one of those things where, like, if it's organic, you don't even realize it. Like, I had a girl yesterday say to me, she's like, you should take a picture of your hair every morning. I go, why? She goes, I don't know how you sleep. Well, your hair is fucked up when you wake up. And I guess, like, when I do a lot of my questions of the day, my hair looks crazy, but I'm not even noticing. I'm like,
I thought that's what you was going for.
No. I have no clue.
We have a phrase, Charlamagne and Pastor Schulz, can I just say this one time? So my book, right?
Yes,
and I'm not saying this as a shameless plug.
No,
there's a thing in there about, we have a phrase at our church that says your scars tell a story. Mm-hmm. So will you use your scars or will your scars use you? And you either hide a scar or who's always the coolest guy at the party? The dude with the scar on his face.
Yeah, he's also the most frightening guy at the party.
Correct. Yeah. So we have a generation that's taught to go get your scar fixed and to go hide that. Don't let anybody know it. Yeah. But if we can get a generation to flip that and say, no, I've been through this. I've been in trouble with the law, or I've got some baggage, but let me show you what I can do with it. That's what I always tell people. Are you going to use your story, or is your story using you? Both you guys are examples of people who have been like, nah, let me show you what can be done with somebody who wants to work hard.
My dermatologist keeps trying to, Dr. Sandy, she keeps trying to laser this scar. Yeah. And I'm like, no, I want my scar.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because
that's the one time the punch connected.
Scars tell a story.
Like, I want that scar. Like,
scars tell a story.
It tells a story. It reminds me of a certain place in my life. I remember how I got beat up. Like, I start my book off with that story. Like, my book, Black Privilege, starts off with that story.
Do you know what one of his original title ideal was? You tell Schulz.
For the book?
Back in the day when you were thinking about what you're going to call that book.
Oh, the one about
I don't give a fuck.
White women are divine.
You had the greatest almost title.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck, and neither should you.
And my thing was, Charlamagne, I love it, but I can't get my mom to get that book. I wanted her to read Black Privilege, but I wish that title would have been.
Because the word is a big deal for her.
Meanwhile, Mark Manson came out with the subtle art of not giving a fuck and sold 1 million copies.
The girl,
not Mark Manson, Mark Maron.
No, Manson.
It is Manson?
Yeah, Mark Maron is the
podcast guy. You're right. Sorry, Mark.
The girls from the Guys We Fuck podcast that we had last week have a book that's just called Fucked.
It is called Fucked.
Just the word fucked.
Yeah.
But I think with the scar thing, though, I mean, if we can get people to just be like Cardi B, you hit it on the head. Anybody I love in the NBA, for instance, like, tell me your story. Where you been? Like, what have you been through? Yeah. Like, for instance, one of my favorites, Tyson Chandler. He told me the story about why he loves giving people shoes is because he never had shoes that fit him. Yeah. So his whole life, because he's a 7-footer, he would have shoes that were his toes would come out. People would make fun of him, and so now he has size, I think, 20. So he's not gonna be able to deal those out, but he can find people across the country, young, impoverished brothers who don't have size 20, so they're wearing size 15, 16. But you hear the story, you're like, wow. So he's like, these aren't just Nikes to me. Yeah. Me getting a Nike deal wasn't about money. It was about the fact that a dude who came from never having shoes, always being made fun of, now I give away shoes. Immediately the story's better.
Yeah.
I'm here on your show with this black guy. I can say whatever I want about this. I saved an old lady. Maybe I got headbutted at LA Fitness in Clifton.
Somebody walk in the Hillsong and punch you?
No.
You ever seen the video of the pimp that walked in and hit the pastor?
Yep. That is not my church.
Because the pastor was smashing his girl?
I don't know why. I still don't know why you punched the pastor.
I would just, we don't have that kind of church, Charlamagne. You know that.
No, you got some good people in your church. I met what's the young lady's name? She works at Del Frisco's. I can't remember her name.
You fucking with waitresses again, Charlamagne?
Nah, I was in there eating. She introduced herself to me. I'm so sorry, I can't remember this young lady's name.
We got good people. Plus, I got people who come to church who love us and don't love Jesus yet. So if someone did try to come in and do something crazy, I would. Wrong place.
You hear that, Post Malone? You better watch yourself, Posty.
You guys are strapped with more than Jesus.
I gave him donkey of the day the other day, by the way.
Did you really?
I had to, man. Ooh. I had to, because he made some comments
Post Malone?
Yeah.
Both of us.
Why are you upset
Same
at Post
article.
Malone?
But
man?
it wasn't just the comments he made about us. I wasn't even upset when I read the article in Rolling Stone. If you hadn't read the article, he said some things about Hillsong that I didn't like. Now, I've never stepped foot in Hillsong a day in my life.
What'd he say?
I only know Pastor Carl.
You know me, yeah.
He said it was a cult, right?
Yeah.
And it was what he said about
What's wrong with
Justin Bieber. He said that Justin Bieber hangs out with this cult now, and he's giving this cult a whole bunch of money.
He used figures. He said 10 million.
10 million.
They have gold seal. First of all, Justin Bieber's not giving $10 million. Secondly, we don't even own a church building, let alone have gold ceilings. But my thing with Post Malone
He's too
is
busy trying to buy basketball courts.
yeah, that's what we're trying to do. My thing with Post Malone was it just seemed reckless to talk about something. It seems really ignorant to talk about stuff you don't know. I liked it. I've never met him.
So I don't like the fact that when Justin Bieber was getting in trouble, we all had something to say about it.
Right. Very
Now that he's transformed and changed his life, nobody has anything positive to say, but you're actually going to knock him for changing his life?
Bro, it's like it's like when you're fat, right? And you have a fat friend that starts to lose weight, and you're like, yo, let's get some food. And he's like, nah, I'm trying to diet. You're upset at that. You know what I mean?
But you were calling him a fat ass the whole time.
But you were calling him fat. I remember I had a...
You too good for donuts?
Bro, my boy Danny was this huge fat dude. I'm literally helping him lose a toe because anytime I want to go eat, I know he's down to go eat. And when he started to lose weight and he was like, nah, I'm trying to diet, I was a little tight.
Well,
I need to eat at 3 o'clock.
People take it as a personal offense, like, so you want to go to the club anymore? Yeah. Immediately, what's the next jump? You better than me? It's like, no, I just want to get sleep now. Why is this a knock on you? Because I need to...
What's wrong with a cult? Like, I don't understand. Like, people have this bad idea about cult. If the cult has good ideas,
cult is just a word, but it's a word that has negative connotations.
It has negative.
Remotely.
I know, but like, we got to change our perception of a word, right? Like, if somebody's like, yo, you guys are part of a cult, but the values of this cult are good and positive and we believe in it, I'm not going to let this word that just means a group of people.
No, I'm with you on rechanging semantics, but
he made it he meant it in the Charles Manson, Jim Jones, drink
mind
the Kool-Aid
control,
kind of
right. Whatever. And it's like, so it's silly. So I don't think that, I think upon further review, he probably would retract that and go.
Do you ever feel like you're restricted by your religion in that, like, you got to forgive them?
I don't see that as a restriction. I see it as a blessing. Once you know what forgiveness is. Yeah. So I remember the first time I met Shar on air anyway, we're talking about, how would you pray for a guy like this who's so bad? And my thing was, once you learn how good forgiveness feels for you, it's less about that person. Yeah. Forgiveness is freeing the debt, meaning I don't care what happens to you is on God. But as far as your control over my life, or even what I might think about you, it's preconceived gracism. That's what we call it. I've already made my decision, like racism. I've already made my decision to judge you according to.
I've already made my decision to forgive you. That's how.
Preconceived gracism is no matter what you do, how bad you are, how tripping you might be, I've already made a decision to give you unconditional grace, and it's a free way to live.
I've asked Pastor Carl about that because I'm so torn about the forgiveness thing. You know what I'm saying? Because they always say, you got to pray for forgiveness you do it for yourself, and I'm like, I'm fine.
I'm good. Yeah.
Regardless if I forgive you or not, like I'm good. I'm just not messing with you anymore. I don't dislike you. I don't hate you. I don't wish any bad on you. I'm just not messing with you.
That is forgiveness. Like we always teach people in our church, especially if you've been abused. So there might be somebody listening that y'all have that's been abused, and they're already getting uncomfortable. Like you don't know what that person did. Forgiveness doesn't mean friendship. Forgiveness doesn't even mean liking. Forgiveness just means in your own mind, you have disallowed them to continue to hurt you.
Occupy space.
I never have to talk to you, look at you, acknowledge you, but in my heart, I've released that debt. That's what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is not, okay, cool, you're cleansed of all your... No, God judges and God forgives and He cleans. But just because I forgave an abuser doesn't mean that abuser's off the hook. Absolutely
Does Christianity invent forgiveness?
Well, Jesus embodied forgiveness.
Right.
So I don't know if we're talking about invention of words, but I know
not invented that way, but like I look at forgiveness as one of the most transformative ideas in human history. Because I think without forgiveness, you don't get freedom of speech, you don't get freedom in general, right? Because it sets up the platform for, you disagree with me. I can't be upset.
Right.
I can't be upset. Like, we look at forgiveness only in terms of this guy punched me, I got to let him go. No, forgiveness can be like, hey, I don't want to be with you anymore. I want to go do my own thing with my family. Okay.
Well, our generation's never understood, like, Jesus was unconditional forgiveness.
Right.
We normally have forgiveness with conditions. I'll forgive you if you don't do that again.
Yeah.
If you do it again, I think, our faith is different in that no matter what you do. Because even though I believe God saved me and I follow Jesus, I'm still a sinner. I'm still struggling, and He still forgives me. That to me is a special kind of forgiveness.
I know this might be out there, but I look at it in terms of science, because Christianity kind of opened the door, maybe like the second coming of Christianity, you could say, around the Renaissance period, right? Where it opened the door for science, right? And I think without forgiveness, you don't get that door open. Look at a lot of religions, they're very closed off. It's like, wait, you're saying that the earth, the sun doesn't revolve around the earth? What the fuck are you talking about, right? But all of a sudden, you have this forgiveness principle. It's like, all right, well, let them think it revolves around the earth. Right. Now you have science developed. Now you have cures for diseases that would have never...
I think that's security, what you're talking about. Just basic security. It gives people the room to discuss.
All I'm saying is I don't know if that's forgiveness. It was transformative in terms of Western culture and ideology and a lot of things that we've... I look at this from someone who's not necessarily religious, but the value, I think, of Christianity in and of itself is it allowed the freedom for non-believers to exist in society, and sometimes non-believers really create things that do help society progress.
Sure.
And there are certain religions that are more closed off that did not allow those to flourish.
They won't even listen to you if you don't believe what they believe.
They didn't.
Absolutely.
A non-believer might have invented the cure for cancer, one of the cures for cancer, and maybe he did that through the power of Jesus. Who knows? Only Jesus can judge.
A non-believer invented premarital sex. All right. So salute to him.
Let's get into some brilliant idiots.
No, I do want. I want one real quick thing about forgiveness, because somebody told me something about intention recently, and it kind of made me think about forgiveness. They said that intention is never for you; it's for the person that you did something to. Because I was having this discussion about intention doesn't matter; the action matters. You know what I'm saying?
Motive, right?
Yeah, the actual action. Because I may not have intended to hurt you, but I still may go to jail for it because the action was
you'll go to jail for less time.
Well said. So we always say it's a Christianese, which is stupid things Christians say in their own lingo, is but that wasn't my heart. I'm sorry you got hurt, but that wasn't my heart. We always say, guess what? Nobody can feel your heart. All they felt were your actions. So I'm not interested in what you meant. I'm interested in what they felt. So true forgiveness and humility is I don't care what I meant. If it hurts you, if you perceive this as wrong, I'm sorry. But we live in a proud culture where people are fighting for their right to be right.
Yes.
All the time, you lose all the time in that scenario.
Yeah, we keep telling the person, but I didn't mean it. It doesn't matter what you meant.
No.
You know what I'm saying? No. But they said that intention matters to them. Because if they know, all right, well, he didn't mean it like that, then maybe it's easier for them to forgive you.
Yeah. I mean, motive matters, but to me, even if my motive's wrong, I still need to do what's right. So, for instance, my motive, I have to pray for people that I don't necessarily like all the time. So right now, my job as a Christian is to pray for President Trump, no matter who's in office, right? Is my heart right when I do that? I don't care. I have to do what's right. And eventually, sometimes your heart will match up with what you do. It's a double-edged sword.
Are you praying for the betterment of the country or for Trump himself?
Well, obviously both, but so my job, this is why I have hope as a Christian, because I pray for President Trump that God will change his heart, open up his eyes, speak to him, humble him, help him lead our people better. I don't lose in this scenario. I'm already feeling better. Just that, what I just reeled off right there. If I get frustrated, I got to quickly not allow that to take root. So when people say, how do you feel about President Trump? I'm I probably feel like you do. The difference is I have hope that he's not, nobody's lost until you're looking at God eye to eye in eternity. There's hope for everybody. So,
for real.
Yeah, that's kind of where I rest on that kind of stuff. I don't care if my heart's right. I don't care if I feel it. I got to do what's right.
Yeah, I was having this discussion over Thanksgiving, but there's something to be said about consistency and almost equality. You have to uphold values. If your values are praying for everybody and praying for those in need, you have to do it even for the people you don't like. And the same thing happens when we talk about justice, right? You have to let these people, these hateful individuals, have a march because that's part of freedom of expression, right? You can't just fight for the things you want. You can't just pray for the people that you like personally.
Right.
Right. And it sucks because the easy way out is just to go, well, why would you pray for that asshole? What a piece of shit you are. Because praying for him is the same reason I pray for you.
Exactly right.
You can't be selective about who you pray for.
Y'all do some good preaching on here. I wanted to tell you about that.
Okay. You saying we should open up a brilliant church and get this money?
Okay.
Get this money.
He's going to do that one day. You're going to have have a church one day, bro.
Stephen Furtick told me the same thing. I don't want that responsibility, though.
You have no choice. You're a leader, whether you like it or not, and you have a voice that carries weight that God gave you. You didn't do anything to get it. He made you like that.
Thank
so
you,
it is
Pastor
what it
Carl.
is.
Could you pray for DC Comics?
I don't do the comics.
You should pray. So, well, just pray for them anyway. You don't have to know them.
Yo.
Are they not doing well?
Bruh.
Dude,
listen.
it is. They're the definition of crazy.
What? Tell me,
yeah.
tell me.
Repeating the
Teach me
same
about it.
thing over and over again and expecting
different
a
results.
different
Are they
result.
making money?
No, actually
Okay.
not.
They're actually, everyone is losing money.
Justice League is the lowest. Justice League has made the least at the box office, and that's supposed to be their biggest film to date because that's the one with every single
What
superhero.
franchise
in it.
is Black Panther?
Marvel, baby.
Marvel.
Okay, so Marvel.
Oh man.
Marvel is Nike, and DC Comics is Reebok, maybe British
Okay,
Knights.
first of all, DC Comics is British Knights.
Okay.
I don't even know if
That's
they're
what
British
it
Knights. British Knights might be doing well somewhere.
Yeah.
All right. I don't think DC is doing well nowhere.
is. We should talk about Black Panther.
Talk to me.
The show?
I'm excited for Black Panther, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting here and I'm excited for Black Panther. And I think partly is because of the way you've sold it to me. And you're like an actual fan of Black Panther. You know,
I'm
the
a Marvel
background.
comic head. Yeah.
But outside of Marvel, there's a lot of Marvel comic heads, but they might not be Black Panther fans. Because Black Panther was never a big Marvel character.
Right.
He was never featured in like X-Men or these worlds.
Well, here's the thing. None of the
Comparatively-
Marvel characters were big.
Well, that's not true.
No. All the movie guys were never big because they don't have the rights to them. Iron Man was a B character. Thor was probably a C character. Captain America's kind of B.
So Iron Man had its own show. We grew up watching X-Men on cartoons.
X-Men's
I love
X-Men's
X-Men.
A-list.
X-Men.
Spider-Man had his own
Spider-Man
movies.
A-list.
There's a lot of A-list
Yeah.
things, that I'm familiar with, that the people who weren't into comics when I was young. But I'm looking at Black Panther and I'm like excited about this movie. And then I always try to check my own bias to be a clear thinking individual.
Right.
And I go, hold on, why am I excited about this movie?
It's Marvel.
No. It's not. It's not Marvel. It's just because they're black people. It's a black Marvel movie. That's the only reason I'm gonna say. I watched the trailer, right? I literally have no fucking clue what's happening in this movie.
But it looks
they don't
good.
even. No. It looks black. There's no. That's the only
Hilarious.
reason. Let me tell you. They don't even tell you the storyline. I don't know if Michael B. Jordan's a good guy. I don't know if he's a bad guy.
interested either.
And listen. I ask people. I'm like, do you know what the storyline is for this movie? They go, no. I go, are you excited? Yeah. Why? He goes, oh, because it's Black Panther. He has claws. It's the shittiest costume. He literally,
No, bro.
he has a suit with girl claws. He's a bad
Panther-
bitch.
Black
That's his costume.
Black Panther is the richest superhero ever. He's got more money than Iron Man. He's got more money than
Is it in his storyline?
Bruce Wayne. Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Because he's from a nation called Wakanda. So, like Spider-Man's.
He's a
not
millionaire
Spider-Man.
in African dollars.
No,
I don't know what that
billionaire,
is
trillionaire.
in like
No,
American
trillionaire.
dollars. Yeah.
Captain America's shield, the metal that it's made of.
Adamantium.
No, it's uranium.
Uranium is a real thing. Adamantium is the one. Trust
Is
me,
it?
I got this.
I don't
Yeah,
remember.
yeah.
But the metal is all in Wakanda. So all of these resources are in Wakanda.
Wolverine's claws. It's like an indestructible metal. But the point is like, if Black Panther was white, put it this way: if a black guy comes and plays Wolverine, we're seeing Wolverine.
It gets better. If it's White Panther, no one's going.
No one goes, or they
Vibranium.
or they would ask the same questions, that I'm asking. If a white guy was playing Black Panther and it was all white cast, we would go, well, what's the movie about?
Right.
They haven't even showed us what the villain wants.
Yeah.
Do you know what the villain wants in it?
But you never know in any movie, though.
Son,
Unless
I know in Spider-Man.
When you saw the
Thanos,
when you
what
saw the
Thanos
Ant-Man
wants.
trailer, you didn't know what was going on.
Your point is money.
Listen, the point is it's on point, and there's nothing wrong.
Did you see the Ant-Man trailer?
Yes.
Did you know what it was about?
Yes.
No, you didn't.
Guy's small, guy's big.
It threw me off because Paul Rudd. I didn't know I didn't know the guy who played Ant-Man is a really good cast because I didn't know that it would be a superhero movie because he's a comedian to me.
Yeah,
That's why it was
absolutely.
perfect. Yeah.
And I think what we can get into, like I do a podcast about TV and film called.
But that's the point of movies,
We
though.
get into this,
And that's what DC does horribly. DC,
but just acknowledge the Black Panther. Acknowledge the Black Panther.
It's hard for me though because I know the story.
You're different, and you've made me biased because I'm like, I really step back. I'm like, why am I so excited? Now, my boy Haney on Western Bros, we talk about Justice League, Thor, and there's Johnny, but we're talking about the Marvel DC thing, and he said an interesting point. He goes, I fuck with Ryan Coogler, and I fuck with Michael B. Jordan because I love that Rocky movie that they put out. Black Rocky.
Creed.
Yeah.
Black Rocky's great.
Yeah.
It should have been called Black Rocky.
Yeah. So
It's definitely gonna be Black Rocky, the second one.
So I
that's
go,
what
He can
Stallone's
hoop a
doing.
little bit too, Michael B.
Say
Jordan.
what?
He can hoop a little bit.
really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fair enough. So basically he was like, if I see them together, because I loved Creed, I'm going to rock with them in this movie. And I was like, okay, that's a good point. That's good. And I think Coogler, really fucking talented.
Yeah.
I think he's going to kill it. I just think it's fascinating that they haven't even bothered to tell us what the villain wants, what the story is,
You
or
gotta go
anything.
see the movie.
And we're still hyped out of our mind. Usually
You gotta
know
go see the movie.
What does... I know what a villain wants from Spider-Man. I know what a villain wants
Not in every
X-Men.
movie.
I know what Thanos wants in Infinity War. I know what these people want.
So when you saw Spider-Man Homecoming,
I didn't see
the trailer,
it.
okay.
I didn't see it.
So, what was the last Marvel movie? So when you saw Thor Ragnarok,
Yes.
you knew what the plot was going to be.
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
I did.
What was the plot?
The plot was they want to destroy the homeland of Thor, his country or his.
So you
planet.
knew that from the movie? You knew that from the trailer?
I knew it. Yeah, Ragnarok is the end of. It says it in the trailer. Ragnarok is the end of. End of Thor's land or whatever the fuck it is.
All I'm saying with most movies is they don't outline the plot for you. But superhero movies are just like anything else. You know it's going to be a bad guy.
Yeah.
You know something is going to need to be saved.
Every superhero outlines the plot. Magneto comes. He wants to take over the world for mutants.
Not all the
and
time.
whatever.
No, Magneto actually is a mutant who doesn't want humans to get rid of mutants. So sometimes Magneto's with the X-Men. No, he doesn't.
Humans.
Sometimes Magneto is with the mutants, and sometimes he's not. Him and Professor X are really just like, that's why they compare. Stan Lee wrote them to be Malcolm and Martin.
I think
because they both want the same thing. They just got two different ways of going about it.
He's selling us that because it's a cool vibe and the superhero's black, we're going.
And it's Marvel.
Yeah,
bigger than anything, it's Marvel, bro.
Listen,
Marvel hasn't let you down yet, and you have to go see Black Panther if you're following the whole Marvel universe. Like, it's a part of the Marvel universe.
The show,
which
I wouldn't have even known it was a show. What was the show? It was on Netflix.
Oh, Punisher. Which one?
Nope.
Defenders.
Nope.
Luke Cage.
What? Luke Cage.
Luke Cage. Yeah.
Similar genre. Yeah. Obviously not because there's no costumes, but I love that show.
That's Marvel though.
Marvel. Okay.
Marvel.
Yeah. Right.
But it's just like Netflix is a good example because Netflix has 5 shows that came out. They had Iron Fist, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, 2 seasons of Daredevil, which led up to the Defenders, which now leads up to the Punisher. You got to watch all of them in order to keep up with the universe.
I think you're either comic book or you're not. So I didn't grow up doing the comic book thing.
Yeah, neither did I.
But if you didn't, simply following the movies,
but my son
can set you up.
I'm into it now, though.
The reason Marvel is even able to make a Black Panther movie is the exact opposite reason DC can never make a Cyborg movie. Because we're so invested in the Marvel universe. They gave us an Ant-Man movie, bro. Ant-fucking-Man, and it was good.
Bro, Marvel's the best.
It's not even close.
Yo, we were talking about this on Western Bros. What's-his-face made a great point about Logan. This is how sophisticated Marvel is with their movies.
Logan was awesome.
No, I didn't like Logan.
So here's the thing. Logan was awesome, but what was Logan? It was a Western. Marvel is playing with genre.
What's Deadpool?
Deadpool is a comedy.
Is it Marvel?
Yeah, it's a Marvel.
We talked about this, but remember, it's only three types of movies.
Deadpool,
right, but what they're doing is they're separating from traditional. I'm just going to make shit blow up, Fast and the Furious action to
story.
Hey, let's make a comedy.
Ant-Man did too. Ant-Man and Deadpool were both very
comedies, bro.
genre-mixing.
You look at the new Thor. It's a and apparently one of the new Marvel movies coming out. I forget which one it was, but he said it's going to be a horror film. Oh, the kids one.
Why don't you propose a
X-Men?
script called White Lion?
White Lion.
They do have a White Panther, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, they have a White Panther in the
They always got to
universe.
make milk chocolate for no reason.
Always. They got it in the universe.
Milk chocolate Twix, and then white people go, finally!
By the way, that's
I've been waiting for something that doesn't stain my khakis.
I've been New Marvel was the shit because
great white voice. Wow.
I mean, he should have one.
I throw it back to the 90s, bro.
Wow.
I knew Marvel was great because I never cared about Thor growing up. Definitely never cared about Ant-Man growing up.
Yeah.
But the movies made me be into these characters.
They're the best.
Period. Listen, Marvel's great. I mean, DC just needs to hang it the fuck up. DC gives you no backstory. Nothing. If you think you're lost with a Black Panther trailer, go watch Justice League.
Bro, you know
Justice League makes no fucking sense.
You know why? Because they all have the same power. I said this on the podcast. It was like every one of those people in Justice League. Superman, they're all the same. They're all aliens who are here that all have more or less.
Except for Batman.
Except for Batman, right? So you have
Flash.
Superman, right? You have Superman, you have Flash, who's
and
pretty
Cyborg.
much
Batman, Flash,
just
Cyborg.
fast Superman. Then you have Tits Superman, which is Wonder Woman, and then you have Water Superman, which is Aquaman.
No,
they're all the exact. They all do the exact same shit.
No.
None of them have any real powers. None of them different.
No, Superman is the strongest superhero in the universe. He's got every power, which is whack. He literally has every power.
How he ever loses any fight.
Jewelry.
Yeah.
Fucking
But they had to
kryptonite.
invent some shit to take him out.
Take him
because
out.
he was
That's what I'm
too
saying.
strong.
Yeah.
But it's because he's the first Superman. That's what they invented before they knew that we liked people with flaws.
Wonder Woman is strong, you know what I'm saying? But she's an alien. Aquaman has historically been trash. He talks to fish, bro. Don't get souped up by the Aquaman that's in the fucking movie. Yeah. Aquaman in the comics was so bad that they spoofed him on Entourage. Vinny's career went in the toilet because he played Aquaman. Aquaman was voted the wackest superhero ever by Maxim magazine years ago. Yeah. So DC's just trash.
DC, I could fix DC like that.
I could too. You know how I would do it?
Joker movie.
That too, but I would follow Marvel's formula.
Of course. That's what I'm saying. Like, what you do is you develop a world. You already have an established Batman world, right? Just to make movies off of the characters that you've established that we love, and then you introduce new characters within
6
those
degrees
movies.
of separation.
Marvel. Boom, exactly. Marvel.
Like Breaking Bad, like Better Call Saul.
Exactly. You establish the world.
Like The Wire should still have 9 spinoffs right now. Like, I want to know what Avon Barksdale's doing right now.
You know that every character that started in The Wire, to me, is still
alive.
Them.
Me too.
No. Like Michael B. Jordan is always a Wire
Avon
character.
Barksdale?
Yeah.
Even though he's in tons of other movies.
No, that's Avon.
Yeah. Word.
Yeah.
Even Idris?
Stringer Bell. When I hear Stringer Bell talking in an English accent, I go, why are you talking in that accent?
It's offensive.
That's a fake accent.
He's only Stringer Bell. Yeah. Only. Michael B. Jordan is only Wallace.
You're Wallace. That's it.
I don't want to hear anything else other than Wallace. I saw him the other day. I'm like, Wallace. Ah, man, I don't care how big he gets. He could win an Oscar. You know who he's going to be? Wallace.
Yeah, I was having a conversation about Michael B. Jordan the other day because I was saying that I feel like Michael B. Jordan, it seems like he might be missing his window a little bit. And they was like, he turns down so many roles. Like, I mean, they say he turns down shit left.
That's a dangerous precedent. I've known a couple people in the industry who made that mistake, but other people, it was a boon for them because it's hit or miss. You get a couple bad roles, but you sleep on some ones that you could make great.
Yeah, and they told me a couple of movies he turned down, but I can't remember what they are now. But it's like he turns down so much stuff, and I'm like, Michael B. Jordan should be like owning Hollywood right now. Like he should be the guy.
Yeah, I think he's probably got a plan, you know. And but that's the thing about a window, though. You don't know it was open until it's closed.
Yeah, it's tough. Like Will Smith turned down The Matrix.
Bummer.
And
he's suffering financially right now.
It's hard. He got a loan from Tyrese.
He owns the building we're in right now. Yeah.
Do we have to pray for Tyrese too?
Yeah, you do. I'll just say this forever because we're going to be friends for life. We're going to pray for everybody. But Tyrese, I don't know. I just, there's so much tabloid stuff about that. I don't know what happened with him.
Tyrese is my guy, but he's full of shit.
Okay.
Like and that's if I was like when I was talking to him last, that's where the conversation went. Like you're just you're full of shit. Stop being full of shit.
Yeah.
Like, why is it so hard for people to stop being full of shit? Like stop bullshitting.
Wasn't there
people.
medication and stuff involved?
I don't believe none of it. I don't believe none of that. But that's not my place to say. It could be. I'm just saying I don't believe it. You know what I'm saying? He could be telling us the total truth. Yes, I was on this medication. I'm just saying I don't personally believe.
With the emotions involved with the daughter. And then if you bring in, hey, I was on some medications that made me trip out and you're about to lose your most precious thing, I'm going to have to give him not a pass, but I got to see him do that 2 or 3 times to write Tyrese off. I couldn't imagine going through that. And if you add on medication that you didn't know what it was going to do to you and you start looking like a fool on social media, that's painful.
What I hate, man, I hate the double standards in life. I'm going to tell you why. Tyrese was on Instagram crying broke. And he didn't have no money.
I didn't like him hating on The Rock for being The Rock. But
2 weeks later, he's in Dubai living the life. Now, if he was a woman, what would we say? Yep. He was over there getting shitted on by some sheik, getting peed on by some sheik.
Kathy Lentz, tune out. Trip. Don't listen to this mom. Yeah.
I'm not with the double standards, bro.
He be wearing Fashion Nova.
That's what I'm saying. I don't like the double standards. I want men to be treated the same way women are treated. Okay. If that was an Instagram model, we would be saying, oh, she over there getting shitted on. She over there getting peed on.
Here's the one difference. Can't be gay in Saudi Arabia.
You don't come back. Yeah.
They come here for that shit.
No, talking about you think there's nobody? Come on. Of course there are.
They come to Beverly Hills for that shit. Come on, they don't do that shit over there, man. That's a direct flight.
This is a rule. I think this is a rule of fact. Anytime you see a country that's really oppressive of something, the hotter it is underground.
Oh, absolutely.
So anytime you see like especially a country like that just hates.
Oh, absolutely.
That whole realm, you better believe you got to know the right person. You go underground and there's a
Oh, cheeks everywhere.
Everywhere. You know what I mean?
Cheek
That's
hard.
easy access with that little outfit that they got on, that little drink.
Shout out to Mr. Cheeks.
You seen the dude William Goodman this week? What was he? I don't know if he's a senator or something. William Goodman. He was a politician, but his whole agenda was like anti-LGBT.
Oh,
like
he
that.
was out there giving up the cheeks.
He got caught fucking a guy in the state office.
Oh, man.
Was he was cracking the cheeks?
Yeah.
Because I mentioned
He
Mr.
was getting
Cheeks.
cracked, or he was doing
I don't know
cracking?
if he was top or bottom. He was just in there. He resigned. He was in because he got caught in office with the guy.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Can
he
you,
was
real
getting
quick, I'm
cracked.
just still concerned about this, Shar. So you telling me Cameron is a vegan? Because he looks so skinny when I just saw him in your studio.
Listen, man, brothers are taking care of themselves at the car.
But that doesn't. I know some vegans that he just looks really skinny.
I don't think he's a vegan though.
Okay.
He works out a lot though. Me and Cam actually work out. I work out at two different gyms, but one of the gyms
He's
I work out
sharp.
at.
I saw him on a sports show talking sports.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was on ESPN. He was on
With a suit.
First take?
No, what's the joint with
Levitard.
Dan Levitard?
Oh, okay.
He just
Highly questionable.
he was real cool too. I like his.
Did he
whole
catch
vibe.
an L this week?
I
Did
don't think
Mace
it-
get him?
This is my
Is
thing.
May
with that.
still in the mix?
Bro, this is how crazy this week is. Fab and Jada dropped an album
Great
together.
project, by the way.
And Mace and Cameron are beefing over Harlem. It's a 90s throwback.
I love
Harlem.
Not over Harlem, but it's just an old
Bragging
Harlem
rights.
beef. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love adulting in hip hop. I'm calling it adult contemporary hip hop. That's what
Okay.
it is. And I love it. I went to Jay-Z's show this week.
Yeah.
And that was great.
I was there.
You were there?
Yeah.
What show
I think
what night you went?
I was at Monday.
I went
night.
Monday. Yeah.
Where were you at? You on the riser?
I was, but then it was too packed. I
Same.
went up there, then I went to sit on the floor with the
The
people.
guy next to me was smoking so heavily that I felt like I've got to go now because I got to have a productive Tuesday. And I enjoyed it. I loved it. I love Jay-Z. Public service announcements. I loved it. I felt like what he said up front was amazing.
Yeah.
I did find it interesting, the generational, because I've been hanging, if you go on tour with Justin, he's got semi-trucks on the stage. He's got Tigers. He's got, Jay-Z was by himself
Word up.
in a sweatsuit the whole time.
Yeah.
And it was very interesting. My favorite part was the big tribute where
I
they
loved
shut
it.
the music down.
Oh, that shit felt so good.
and everybody stumbled on the same part of the line, which everybody does. And
It was the DJ part.
Kid Capri.
It was the DJ part. Buzz gloves out, you get Capri,
Can you tell me about any of the rappers? I've been waiting on any of the rappers that start with Lil. That's not Lil Wayne. I had to ask my daughter about. It's like Lil Boozy, Lil Uzi, Lil Pumpy, Lil Water, Lil Speaker. All these dudes. Is this a real thing?
Well, Lil Boosie is my era. So, yeah, Lil Boosie's a real
Not
thing.
Boozy.
Uzi, Pump.
The
The one that just died, Peep, God bless the dead. I think his name was Peep.
Yeah.
And that was confusing to me
That's
because
when I started going down that rabbit hole. Because I'm like, this guy died. It was terrible. And then I started looking at all their music, and I'm like, do people listen to this? Are they
Hell
making
yeah, they
money?
listen to that
Oh,
shit.
yeah.
Crack it, dude. Lil Pump.
here's the thing.
Come to save the rap game, bro.
We've been having this conversation, and I think
Oh, he's
morally,
here to save the rap game, Lil Pump. You have to admit
I haven't
that.
listened to him.
Yeah.
But morally, I don't see any difference between what my guys in my era were rapping about, because they rapped about selling
You're
drugs,
right
they
about
rapped about
this.
killing,
You're
they
gonna
rapped
preach the
about
truth
objectifying
here.
women,
Yeah.
and now these guys are rapping about using drugs, but then my generation is acting like we're better than them because we sold and they used. It's
You know
like,
what?
nah.
That's a really good point.
Y'all ain't shit, all of you.
Tupac. I love Tupac. We can bring back Tupac. He was rapping about that.
Yeah.
All right, real quick about this Barclays Center thing. Damian Lemon sent me this.
Damian Lemon was there too?
Yeah, Damian was there. and
Don
he said-
Lemon?
No,
Was it?
Damian
I'm
Lemon.
Damian Lemon.
So Damian Lemon sent me this. We had a conversation a while back on this podcast where I quoted Damian. One of the things Damian always says is he put
Black people, white people is buying pit bulls now.
Yeah, shout out to Damian.
Hilarious.
So he
I don't
goes.
even know the context. That's funny.
So Damian goes. Damian said something that I said to you, and I was like, Jay-Z put his name in the conversation with the greats before he was even a great.
Yeah.
He said, "Who's the best, Biggie J or not?" He goes, "Me, Biggie J or Nas or something like
That was
that."
on his second album. Where
Or
I'm from.
Biggie J or Nas, whatever. And you disagree with me. He goes, "Nah, Jay was already popping at that time." You disagree with Damian or what I would say. "Nah, Jay was already popping at that time." And then Damian sends me this clip from the Barclays show.
Jay-Z's wrong.
He said, "I had no business saying that." But he knew marketing-wise that he had to call himself one of the best to be seen as
Much
one
like
of the best.
Lonzo Ball making a pitch to LeBron before the dude had touched the ball on an NBA court.
Right, we've seen that before. Our T.I. calling himself the king of the South, or Lil Wayne saying he's the best rapper alive. But I heard when Jay-Z said that, Jay was wrong. He said that on his second album. It was Where I'm From. He said that on Where I'm From, which is off In My Lifetime, Volume 1.
Okay. Which
was after The Reasonable Doubt. But see, the reason I put Jay in the conversation is because Biggie put Jay in the conversation. Yeah. Biggie embraced Jay early on.
It changes it.
Yeah, Biggie was like, this is my favorite rapper. Biggie was on Rap City shouting out Jay. He's like, why the fuck is Biggie shouting out Jay? Right. Biggie was on Jay's first album.
What you said at the time was that he was already really popping at the time, and he, in reality, he wasn't the Jay-Z that we know at the time. He wasn't in that discussion. He put himself, and maybe Jay put himself.
He didn't become that Jay until the third album, actually.
Right.
And that was when he sold 5 million records. Like, Jay didn't become the Jay-Z we all know until his third album. By the way, when Jay-Z said, who's the best MC, Biggie, Jay-Z, or Nas hadn't even gone platinum yet. Nas hadn't gone platinum yet. Nas had dropped Illmatic. Then when Nas came out, it was written. I think he went like double platinum.
Yeah,
you know, so crazy to think that Illmatic didn't go. Platinum.
Are you a Nas guy or a Jay-Z guy?
I was always a Nas guy growing up in terms of the two, but as I've gotten older, I appreciate Jay more. I think that's something that bothers me about not really.
Yep.
So why is that?
I don't know why. I come from Virginia, so I didn't even know about Nas really, except for Lauryn Hill and him with my favorite track. I Rule the World.
Of course.
Other than that, only till recently, really, Rich Kleiman, one of my guys, Rock Nation dude, Kevin's agent, he kind of educated me about Nas, and just kind of went through the log of the body of work. But I always was a Jay-Z guy.
Yeah.
It just was lack of Nas exposure. I think Jay-Z was always kind of just there.
I didn't always like Jay-Z. I didn't start liking Jay-Z until Hard Knock Life album, because I was a Wu-Tang head. I was a Wu-Tang Mobb Deep guy. I used to like stuff like, DJ Premier with J. Rue the Damage and all those guys. And all those guys they didn't like Biggie and Jay.
You been to a Wu-Tang show?
Nah, I never. Oh, no.
I did at the Norva in Norfolk, Virginia, and I'm surprised I made it out.
Really?
It was awesome.
Really?
But a lot
of marijuana smoked.
Yeah, a lot of it's a grimy vibe. But I'm from the town where the first Wu-Wear store was open.
In Virginia?
Maybe it was just, but yeah, in Norfolk, Virginia.
Why are they opening in Norfolk?
I don't know. Norfolk, it's got a little bit of weight. You know, Jay-Z shouts out Norfolk a few times.
Yeah.
But I remember going to the Wu-Wear store, waiting in line. It's the only time I ever waited in line for anything. And went to a Wu-Tang show. It scared me to death, but I loved it.
Yeah.
How did you become a pastor? I know you get asked this all the time.
No, I don't. Not really. I think it's one of those things where, for me, I never dreamt about it, never wanted to do it, never, thought I would be doing it. We're in a system in my kind of church where you just do what's in front of you, and God opens doors, and you just keep stepping into it. And I just kind of found myself doing what I'm doing. Bit by bit, was a youth pastor in Virginia Beach, doing the same thing I'm doing now, but just there.
But you had a different past, right? Like, it's not like it's not like you were groomed at like 12 to be this pastor.
Multiple felonies. I pushed weight. I'm just kidding.
But you hooped in college, right? You had a different life,
Yeah.
Were you super religious while you were in college?
No, I was doing my own thing. I think I walked away from my faith in a major way because I didn't resonate with Christians at all.
Did you walk into some shorties?
You know it. I'm kidding. It's like I'm proud of that all of a sudden. No, I have a lot of decisions I made that I regret, but I use them all now because I feel like I'm, playing ball at NC State, which is your favorite school.
My favorite. I love it.
Wolfpack.
Yeah, shout out to Dennis Smith Jr. Paid him a bag.
Golly, why isn't he here? Why didn't we take him?
Dennis got to play for the Magic?
Dennis Smith.
Oh, Smith. Okay.
His son plays for the Magic.
No, I remember being at NC State, seeing people at the apex of a particular life and going, I still don't think this is it.
Really?
And that's what kind of kept my heart open to went home from NC State to see my parents in Virginia. And it was at a service where I walked in and made a decision to kind of, let me just see what would happen if I gave everything I had to what God's telling me to do. And I never looked back.
Really?
Yep.
And were you empty at the time? Like a lot?
No. So I always tell people rock bottom doesn't have to be your only teacher.
Yeah.
Most people are like, what happened? Where did your life break down? Where you needed a crutch?
Yeah.
You know what? For some people that happens. For me, I think God's so good, he'll meet you at a mountaintop, just like he'll meet you in a valley.
Yeah, I don't need a 3rd-degree burn. You know what I'm saying? I can just burn myself a little. You don't have to burn me to the 3rd degree.
But I think God's always trying to open people's eyes. If you're doing well right now, boom, 3rd-degree burn doesn't have to be you.
Yeah.
Right.
So for me, I wasn't empty as much as I was. I feel like my parents are such good people. They taught me so well where I would see stuff in college, the college life where I would see stuff, I would go, man, this just isn't right. Whether it's breaking up fights, whether it's seeing people, what they do in parties, just seeing stuff that just, my soul was.
Being morally honest with yourself.
Yeah. I'm like, this isn't right.
Right.
And I'm either going to be a part of it or I'm going to change it. That's how I was raised. I'm not going to complain about a thing that I won't change. And so for me, I just thought, man, let me switch this up. And I've never looked back. Went back to Virginia Wesleyan, played D3. Shot it every time. It was one of those things. Sitting on the bench for 2 years in the ACC. I'm like, man, if I ever transfer, I'm shooting that thing every time.
And buckets or what?
Buckets, bro.
What'd you average?
Buckets and technicals.
Let's go.
Yeah, I always tell people I lead the NC State history alum in warm-up threes made.
Got him.
Cash money records over here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm better now than I was then.
Yeah.
How is the book On the Moment, your book that you just recently released, how has it changed anything for you?
I think it's like you. Your platform's so much bigger than mine, and your name has so many different avenues that lead to it. I think the street that I'm occupying is different. I think it's more of like a collection of where I've been thus far to give it a little bit of context, because people look at us, where we are with our church and maybe think we're something that we're not. So for me, it was really cool to give us a little bit of our own narrative to this story.
What do you think that they believe you are? What is the prejudice towards your church?
Not in a bad way. Just like maybe some people think that we're, like we talked about before, these pastors and life is always good and like this just happened. No, our story is one of God's grace shining on really average stuff. So I wrote the book more to give people hope that, hey, not only are we not special, but if God can do this for us, he can do it for you. And that's what On the Moment's about. So the whole book is based around, rather than lament what you don't have, use what you do have, which is your story. And it's amazing how you attach one moment onto another, and you find yourself at the Instagram. No one wants anything to do with the non-Instagrammable season.
That's why I say put the weed in the bag. Yeah. Like everything has a process. Like you got to go through the process. Jasmine is the young lady's name.
Yes.
She's a parishioner at the church. Yep. Jasmine. Salute to Jasmine that works at Delph First.
There's I was watching randomly at like maybe 12:30 or something like that. Joel Osteen came on ABC and he was doing like an hour special. It's not an hour special, but as a comedian, that's the only way I know it.
Yeah.
And I'm watching. And I think most...
He said an hour special. Joel was doing stand-up.
I like it. I got you. I like it.
Kill it. Rip it.
Can't exactly boo God, but it was a good situation. And I found myself watching, and I think a lot of people, myself included, earlier in my life before I really tried to check my bias when taking in information, they see something religious and they turn it off.
Yep.
And I started watching this guy, and every time he would reference the book or the Bible or something like that, I wouldn't shut it off. I would see if there was something I could relate to this information. And I found myself really motivated by this guy. And every message that he spoke about, regardless if he used the Bible to back it up or Jesus' life to back it up, but the messages themselves were incredibly digestible and nourishing and motivating. And it's one of the things that I've noticed about my relationship with you. You've never preached God to me. You've only answered my questions about faith and my questions about God. But when we talk, we're talking basketball, we're talking about these other things. Yeah. And you've just been a very, I think, supportive person in my life. And I think I've been drawn to you in that way. And maybe you have something about you that draws people to you in general, a charismatic thing. But I think there's a lot that people can get from religion if they remove their bias about religion.
Yeah.
And I would be remiss to not say this about you and also your book. Like, if you're not a Christian dude, you can read the book and get things out of this.
What you're saying is very true, because the bias comes from like if you ask somebody a question, right? Like if I say, well, why do you think you can't have sex before marriage? Because the Bible says, okay, but tell me how you feel.
Right.
I want to know how you feel. Don't tell me what the scripture says. How do you feel?
I get in trouble with some pseudo Christians for using the same logic. If I'm talking to you and I haven't checked to see if you believe in the Bible, me saying the Bible says is the equivalent to me saying the phone book says.
Yeah.
So
Instagram
if you ask me,
I saw on Twitter.
All right. If you ask me, is abortion a sin? Is this a sin? I got to first check. Do you believe in a God? If you do you believe in this? Do you believe in that? There's a story that goes to it. And I think for me, I would say both about y'all. You guys are equally, inspiring and kind and encouraging. And I think that's why I was, even to go back to Charlamagne's book title, my thing was his message so important that we got to remove, if you say it up front, maybe some lady in Virginia doesn't get it because of the word, right? Mm-hmm. But now black privilege, that thing's a cajillion times New York Times bestseller.
Because even if you hate black people, you're like, wait a minute.
Right. But his message is his message is about unity his way. And I think so for me, I've always tried to be somebody who can, Jesus bridged the gap with me. I want to help other people make their own decision. And I think there's something to that for sure.
I might name my next book. I might have a cover of just like all black people.
Yeah.
And say, if you look at this cover and don't buy this book, you're racist.
Absolutely. But to Joel Osteen, Joel Osteen stays true to who he is.
I love Joel Osteen.
But I say in the book that I wrote, I said, you don't have to believe Jesus is who I said he is for you to still get something from this. This will still change your day. It won't change your soul.
I guess long-winded, that's what I was trying to say about it, is I got a lot from the Osteen. I think I got a lot from this book, and I think we can get nourishment from so many different things if we remove our preconceived notions of it.
Listen first.
Exactly.
That's
like
the goal.
You might not become a Christian after reading your book, but I don't even know if that's your goal with the book.
No. My goal is to put something in front of somebody where God can use it. And what you do with it's on you. I can't make you a Christian. I can't make somebody believe, nor do I want to do that. Because if I can talk you into a decision, another human being can talk you out. But if God opens up your eyes, you ain't moving for life.
I've given Joel Osteen donkey today, but I read his daily affirmations every day.
For what, the Houston thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. But maybe
Pastor Carl hit me up about that. He was like,
but maybe he was coming more from a thing like,
you weren't wrong.
Wait, what? What, that he didn't open up the congregation?
Well, Charlamagne had a fair point. It was what it was, without context.
Yeah.
And I just was giving him another perspective of, although, like, the scoreboard is the scoreboard.
Yeah.
But sometimes there's a reason why their interception was thrown. Like, Josh McCown's going to get hit with it, but hey, just so you know, the receiver went left, right? That was, to me, Joel Osteen in Houston. Yes, the scoreboard said that he failed in that moment, but the context was, this dude is awesome. He would give the shirt off his back. He was fed some bad information. XYZ. So
he's done a lot for the community already.
It wasn't so much to say, don't say what you're going to say. I just wanted him to know personally.
So it isn't true that he said, like, well, if you were Christians, you'd be able to walk on water.
No.
He didn't say that.
Stop it. Easy. I caught
if you believed, this water wouldn't be such an issue now, would it?
It would have rained in Louisiana.
Right. Let's pay some bills, man. Salute to Talkspace again for supporting today's episode of Brilliant Idiots. With Talkspace, you can connect with an experienced, licensed therapist that you picked based on your preferences. Do you consider yourself a therapist, Pastor Carl? A little bit?
I think if I had to be one, I'd be one.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of that.
Or you can speak with your therapist on the web, over the phone, even video chat without traveling or worrying about your privacy. And don't worry about your information being shared. Talkspace is 100% confidential. You can even remain completely anonymous if you want. Every Talkspace therapist is fully licensed, has at least a master's degree, and goes through a rigorous screening process in addition to the thousands of hours of supervised professional training.
That's absolutely right. Now, don't make any more excuses. Take charge of your life today and make the match with a therapist that can help you feel better immediately, okay? To match with your perfect therapist, go to Talkspace.com/idiots. And as a special offer for our listeners, you can use the coupon code IDIOTS to get $30 off your first month and show your support for this show. That's the code IDIOTS. That's idiots at Talkspace.com/idiots. I've spoken ad nauseum about how important therapy is for me in my life. And, I look at it as saying, just as important as going to the gym. I go to the gym, I work out, I try to clear my mind through that, but I also clear my body, and I go to my therapist once a week, and I try to do the exact same thing for my mind. I try to exercise these thoughts. And sometimes it's just nice to have somebody that you can speak completely candidly with and not feel any judgment. And so, man, check it out. Talkspace, okay? Therapy for how we live today.
We've been having, I'm sure everybody has seen the Pray for Libya, Pray for Libya memes, the slave trade that's happening in Libya.
It's unconscionable, bro.
It is. I've been having discussions because I follow Minister Farrakhan. Minister Farrakhan has been speaking about this for years. Mm-hmm. I mean, literally years. And the debates I've been having are with my liberal friends. But the truth to the matter of this whole Libya situation is President Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton
Yup.
Caused it.
I'm glad you're talking about
Really?
that. I didn't think you were going to go this angle with
But
it,
it's the
but
truth.
good for you.
What's funny is I was going to say something about it publicly after this, but I was going to ask you first what you thought about it because I value what you think. Like, what do you think?
It's the truth. Like, I mean, all right. I really
Good
wonder
for
what.
you, Charlamagne, the
For
guy.
what? Telling the truth? When have I not
Good
told the
for
truth?
you. Good.
Especially when it's dealing with facts. Like, and I've been wondering what President
Super
Obama.
facts.
Super facts. I've been wondering what President Obama and Hillary Clinton have to say about it because if you know anything about this situation, you know that in 2003, the United States negotiated an agreement with Gaddafi, and the deal was that he would turn over his nuclear weapons.
Wow.
And if he turned over his nuclear weapons,
Weapons of mass destruction.
weapons of mass destruction,
Not nukes, yeah.
the U.S. wouldn't try to depose him.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, the Obama administration didn't stick to that deal, and they went into Libya and overthrew Gaddafi.
I think it was 2008 because 2003 Obama wasn't in office, right? Obama went 2008 to 2006.
Nah, this was recently.
2008 to
This is like
2016.
3 years. What you mean? No, in 2003 they made the deal with Bush.
It was Bush,
Gaddafi.
and then Obama and,
And then like
Clinton didn't respect
like 2
it.
years
Yeah,
ago,
yeah.
they went into Libya,
Yeah.
overthrew Gaddafi.
Yep.
Barack even admitted that was the worst mistake of his presidency because they toppled the regime,
Yep.
didn't put another regime in place.
That's right.
And when you don't put another regime in place, it becomes anarchy. It's civil war, which ultimately leads to what we're seeing now. So I don't know why people are not talking about that or why they're even arguing that fact. Barack said himself that was the worst mistake of his presidency. He said it out of his own mouth. He didn't say going in was the worst mistake.
I think what
he said toppling the regime and not putting another regime in.
I mean, they tried to put another regime in. It just didn't work. I think what we're learning.
The UN announced another regime. It never went into place.
It never took. I think what we're learning about this region is there's a reason there's dictators here. We are what is it called? We're judging another country's situation and leadership based on the society and culture we have in America. We have this free society where people can do as they please. The reality is, in the Middle East and a lot of parts of Africa, the only thing that will keep it together is a strict, murderous dictator. So it's just, it's sad to say.
Listen, you know what's so funny about that? If America right now, all jokes aside, went on autopilot, like let's just say we had no president, we wouldn't start putting each other in slavery. We wouldn't start killing each other any more than usual.
I think it might be scarier than
because we have.
It look like Chicago everywhere,
bro. It's
you know the stats from Chicago right now, by the way?
No, they're crazy.
Oh no, it's not just crazy. My thing with people are reacting with the Libya thing is to the lack of media coverage.
Right.
To that point, I can get with and support because Natalie Holloway, any white teen that goes missing, we're looking at 24/7 coverage, right? Mm-hmm. Regardless of whose fault it is that it's happening in Libya. My thing is why isn't it everywhere? Why isn't this genocide, this ridiculous, stain of what humanity can be? This needs to be talked about.
I haven't posted about it. I don't even think I've talked about it a lot because I've just been observing it. But I'm like, that's one of those situations where a post isn't enough. Like, I don't like to do things just because everybody is doing it.
I'm not a part of the generation that thinks if you don't post about it on social media, you don't care.
Oh,
stupid.
Oh my God,
Stop it. Stop it.
So here's exactly. It's the easiest thing to do. It's
I'm just about action.
Yeah. I'm with you on action. Here's the reason why we don't care about this is because the reality of the matter is there are tons of horrible things that are happening around the world, and we can fill our brains with all the awfulness in the world, but we have to limit the distance of care. And I know that sounds awful.
I think it's racial, to be honest with you. I do.
Well, here's the thing with the race. Well, I find it interesting how they're making this racial because if you look at how they're talking about it, they're going, Arabs are selling black Africans.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
So if you watch it, Arabs are selling black Africans on the, in this market in Libya or whatever like that. But I find it really interesting that they're making a distinction from black people selling black people. Now all of a sudden the people doing the selling are not black, they're Arab.
Right.
But when French Montana says the N-word, oh, he's black, he's African.
Right.
So,
I didn't even think about it.
All I'm saying is, if you see that, it's very interesting.
Like, I don't give a fuck who's selling slaves in 2017. Nobody should have slaves in 2017.
The media,
I think the coverage is indicative of a racial disparity based on.
But people not caring about black and brown bodies as much as.
Well,
what else can you say, bro?
We all tweet things on this cell phone that we have right here. Every one of us have tweeted things on a cell phone, talked on a cell phone. We've talked about how bad the world is on this very cell phone. The cell phone that you're checking right now, Charlamagne, that you're about to text somebody on while I'm talking to you, is a cell phone that you're tweeting things. This cell phone right here has been made the most perfectly timed text sound in the world. This cell phone is made all Samsung phones are made using cobalt. Cobalt is mined by child slaves in the Congo. Now, we're talking about how bad the world is on a cell phone that is made by child slaves. So we're essentially employing these child slaves. Same thing in China. They have, child slaves making, or, children, workers, or whatever, who are essentially paid slave labor.
Your baseline point on this is correct. But we can still make ourselves feel better by picking out one issue.
Exactly. I mean, that's really what it is. It's like, let's
honesty.
tweet about Libya. Like, we don't know what's going on.
But my Nikes were made by a 4-year-old.
By the way, correct me if I'm
Your
wrong.
sneakers
You're
are
right.
fucked up. We can't care about everything in the world.
It's,
Man.
it's
Correct me
pick
if-
your hypocrisy.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Slavery has been in parts of the world forever. Like this isn't like something that's new to Libya. Like it's other. I think Muslim countries that have slaves. I could be wrong. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know.
Listen, how do you think slaves got to America? They didn't go steal them. They handed some money to a black dude, and the black dude was like, all right, here, I'm selling these people.
They stole some of them.
You know who stole them? The warring tribe. Of course, there's obviously in the Triangle Slave, there were slaves that were sold, but this is like the lost people in history, which were the African kings that sold African people, right? Like it has been totally eliminated from the historical landscape. There are people that I'm sure we could look back that there were tribes at war, and this happened throughout history. The tribes at war, and then when a tribe beat another tribe, all the people that are in that tribe became enslaved by the tribe that was at war. I mean, this happened in the Mongolian Empire. It happened in the Ottoman Empire. It happened in the Roman Empire. This is just the history of the world as we know it.
Where did you go to school?
Public school in New York City, and then Baruch, and then I went to Santa Barbara, UC Santa Barbara.
You have a pretty deep reservoir of knowledge.
My dad was fascinated with this kind of stuff like that. So he'd have books around the house, and I'd start to talk to him about it, and I just learned about these things. And it's just an interesting thing that we see what's going on. And like you said, it's like pick your hypocrisy. I'm not saying we shouldn't care about it. We should care about it. We should care about everyone.
Your point is indisputable, though. That it's like, but that's also how people get overwhelmed and do nothing. It's the paralysis of analysis, where you analyze everything and you do nothing.
Yeah.
So my thing is, let's chip away at something. What can we? All right.
Boom.
Let's at least talk about the fact that nobody's covering it. Okay. Yes, we got deeper issues, but maybe then we can start to build.
As I said, I'm about the action. I'm about the action. The posting and stuff is cool. Pray for Libya.
Do something.
I'm about action.
What are we doing for Libya?
Exactly. What are we doing for Libya? I'm about the action. Like that's why I don't even want to just jump on the bandwagon and be like, "Oh, pray for Libya."
I hate it when people say,
I can't do that.
This person doesn't care about whatever. Why? Because you didn't see him on social media? That dude doesn't have a social media account. Mind blown.
Yeah.
Not everybody lives on
You know
that
who
thing.
also doesn't have social media? People in Libya.
Pastor Carl.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're not looking at your tweets and your Instagrams and going, "Oh, thanks for praying for us, guys. They're enslaved right now."
Pastor Carl, Andrew Schulz, let me tell you something. When Hillary Clinton used to come on the Breakfast Club, Farrakhan used to say to me verbatim, "Yes, you should vote. And she may be the better of two evils. But you need to know everything about a person before you vote for them." He put me onto this whole thing about Libya way back. Before everybody started making it a big deal now. He was talking exactly about this. He was like, he didn't feel like it was, they should have went and got Gaddafi in the first place.
Yeah.
But he was like, they toppled him over, didn't put another regime in place. Now it's anarchy in this place.
And
it's anarchy in Libya.
Let's understand the context of these things. Barack and Hillary, I don't think, did this with the intent to create anarchy.
For sure.
In my heart, I can't believe that Hillary wanted Nigerians to be sold.
I can't let them off that easy.
No. I'm not saying that. What I'm trying to say is
too small for that, Andrew.
It's very easy. No, because I'm about to be very critical of Hillary. But it's very easy for us to take this narrative. Like, for example, even with Bill Clinton, how he's criticized about what's called prison reform and not even prison, but changing the laws.
94 crime bill.
Or the crime bill. Yeah. But we have to also understand that, Clinton spoke to the black community, he spoke to the black caucus, and he spoke to black leaders and asked them what they wanted. It's not like he was like, how do I imprison as many black people as I possibly can? Right? So a lot of times there are good intentions and then bad things happen. Yeah. We can still hold people accountable for the good intentions and then bad things happening.
It's a credit to Barack and Hillary, by the way, to say they failed. Right now, the way it's shaping up, President Trump would not say he failed under any circumstances,
Absolutely.
Which is why there's such a growing polarization because the dude refuses to ever say he was wrong or even apologize for anything.
Even you said earlier in the podcast, you're like, why can't we let people move on from their earlier life?
Yeah.
Right? Like you said, and we should, if we want to ask that of rappers or whoever it is that's going to do it, then we should also ask that of politicians.
I missed the class of Barack. I wasn't necessarily, politically, all that stuff aside, I missed a president that didn't clap back on Twitter. We don't need that.
Yeah, but that shit is fire, though.
You love it, don't you?
Oh, just as it's so entertaining. It's wildly entertaining.
It's painful, unintentional comedy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Imagine if you said, LeVar Ball has raised 3 boys to be businessmen. God bless them. Imagine that, right?
It'd be hot. But
imagine if he was humble and classy, even on social media.
Yeah, but I love it when he just goes boom gang, whole lot of gang shit.
I do too.
See, the reason I don't think it's entertaining.
Morally honest, I'm
when
glad.
Trump goes boom
morally
gang,
honest,
bro?
you know what? Let me just say, when I look at what our president tweets, I laugh.
No, I don't.
It's not right, and I apologize for those that are
Do you
offended.
laugh to keep from crying?
A little bit.
Okay. Do you know that
I just be laughing.
CNN International posted the story about Libya this week, right?
Yeah.
And about Libya and the slave trade.
Right.
Because of Donald Trump saying that CNN International is fake news and they're broadcasting to the world all of this fake news, it's people who didn't believe it.
Right.
So they were saying this is why what Donald Trump says is dangerous. He's not us. He's the president of the United States of America.
A Libyan news organization quoted Donald Trump in saying that CNN is fake news.
Yeah, they said, well, is this real?
Yeah.
Because of what Donald Trump
He
said.
called him Pocahontas recently.
Yeah.
I still don't understand the Pocahontas thing. I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to sit here and tell y'all what y'all should be offended by because I don't know.
No, I'm just saying.
I don't know why is Pocahontas a racial slur? Nobody can explain to me why. Why?
Yeah, it's the same Washington Redskin type.
Is
No,
it?
it's not.
No,
They made a whole
it's the same
movie.
argument.
I just know her as a Disney character.
This is what it would be like. Let's say who's somebody that claims to be black? Sean King, right? So let's say.
Hold on a second. It must be said that Sean King is my guy.
All right. Is he black?
I think. What does he say? I think you got to go with what a person says.
Sure. Okay, fine. He's black.
I would think it's like calling a black woman Princess Jasmine.
No, but it'd be like if somebody
Sean King
was
is awesome.
questionably
Angel.
black. Rachel Dolezal.
Yeah, there you go.
But Pocahontas wasn't really Indian?
No, she was
Native American?
So basically, if somebody was questionably black, and then you started calling her Beyonce. Like, but if somebody was like 1/16th or 1/8, like 100, 1
Yeah,
30
he's wrong on
seconds.
so many levels though, because it's not even a good joke.
But I thought Elizabeth Warren was Native American.
Yeah, like one fucking.
That's his joke though. She
64.
She's trying to claim she's an Indian. So his joke is he calls her Pocahontas as like a huge disparagement to the fact that she's
I'm going to call you the most recognizable Native
Indian
American,
I can.
right?
In Trump's world, this is actually funny. And it's not remotely insensitive.
Trump got to stop making dad jokes as president. That's what the fuck you need to stop doing. He makes bad dad jokes.
So it's not funny. It's not like this is how we
He's
do it.
the
Like,
only guy
if
not
you
getting fired for sexual harassment stuff too, by the way.
No, all
He's
politicians.
keeping his job.
Now, politicians aren't getting fucked up.
Donald Trump is keeping his job.
Al Franken was on the front page of the paper grabbing titties. The other dude that was fucking little girls, he was like, I refuse to drop out.
Yo, this
Roy Moore.
Al
Roy Moore,
Franken.
the head of the Congressional Black Caucus, Conyers, they're asking him to step down. He's 88 years old. He got sexual harassment allegations. So that's been a big thing because they're like, why are you asking the black guy to step down, but none of the white guys have told to
Angela
step
Rye
down.
came off on that. Angela
It's
Rye.
the truth, though.
Horrible fucking logic. When in doubt, racism.
I'm gonna tell you why you're wrong.
You don't
No,
like Angela
no, hold on. I'm gonna tell you why Andrew's wrong.
She is the definition of a unclear thinker. She is the definition of a biased thinker.
No, listen.
There is no person that I could point to that is not
that's your girl, right?
more
My sister.
biased
Listen.
in their thinking. Is she a brilliantly smart woman? Yes, and it's almost to her detriment because she starts the day off with, how is this racist, instead of what is going on here.
Time out. Let me speak for 2 seconds. I want to speak for 2 seconds because I want everybody to go on Andrew's SoundCloud and tell him how ridiculous he is right now, because this is the 1 week when him and Angela Rye were actually on the same page. Ooh. She went on CNN and got in the liberals' ass. She told the liberals to stop being hypocrites. She told the liberals to stop doing that. So she was actually on your side.
No, because
you think she
I'm not on the side of left or right. You think she's just on my side because she's being critical of liberals. What I'm on the side of is truth. All I care about is truth and facts.
Oh, you know what she said verbatim on CNN? My name is Angela Rye. Angela means bringer of truth. So let me tell y'all some truth.
Right.
And then she spoke on all of these different sexual allegations and everything that's going on. And she was actually against the Democrats.
Let's bring up the clip.
And she knew, and she knew she was going to get backlash from her base.
We had her on Brilliant Idiots.
Yeah, she's incredibly biased. I think she wouldn't even admit that the word bitch was offensive to women.
She wouldn't admit that?
No, she's like, I don't know. She just said, I don't know.
Maybe it's not offensive to her.
No, but what it really comes down is
Is cracker offensive to you?
She's not willing to.
That's what I'm saying.
But no, she's not willing to be at all critical of anything black. And I understand her goal.
That's not true. You're wrong.
I understand what she's doing.
You're wrong.
And I understand
wrong,
it. But the
Andrew,
problem
you're
is,
wrong.
May I speak? Or you?
But you're wrong. I'm not going to let you sit up here and lie.
Can I reclaim my time?
This just became
You're wrong.
first
Can I
take.
reclaim my time?
You're wrong.
Can I reclaim my time?
But you're wrong.
Listen, my name is Andrew Schulz, bringer of the
Don't
realness.
Donald Trump Angela Rye, because you're wrong.
I'm the bringer of the realness.
Skip.
Now, here's what you're doing.
White Stephen A. Go.
Thank you. Okay. So all I'm saying is I value clear thought. And I think in order to have clear thought, there's a few steps that you need to take to have it. One is radical self-awareness. I try my hardest to be radically self-aware about my own biases. I do not like Lena Dunham. That being said, when she says something, I put that through my own filter. I filter away
That's true. You are like that.
my bias towards her, right? So she said something, Lena said something this week where she actually came to the support of one of her writers who was accused of sexual assault.
Wow.
And she said, I can't believe that I'm saying this, but we truly, after learning all the facts of this situation and hearing what this guy had to say, believe he is part of the 3% of
Falsely accused?
Falsely accused.
3%.
3%. Well, what doesn't matter. How do
Gotta
you
be more.
Well, how do you know what somebody's falsely accused, right? So, but then and in that moment, I wanted to go, and this was my bias because I don't like her. I wanted to find something I could criticize about her, and immediately my brain triggered this move. Well, you used to say believe all victims. Now you're not saying it. You're a hypocrite. And then I pulled myself back from that, and I said, you know what?
Take the win.
I said, you know what? I agree with her logic. She used facts and she used nuance to make a decision about this. 2 days later, she takes back that tweet and goes, no, we stand by all victims.
Oh, great.
Now.
Wait, that's her theory? Stand by all victims?
Stand by all victims.
But you're not a victim
that's because she got backlash.
No,
but you're not a victim until it's proven that you've been victimized.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. And furthermore, she's a big Hillary Clinton supporter, which I don't know how she reconciles the fact that Hillary Clinton has quieted 3 rape accusations against her husband. I don't know how women are people who say that Trump's supporters are blind clearly have never met Hillary Clinton supporters.
Well, it's two things. Some people do turn a blind eye.
Yeah.
Some people just don't have all information. Like that's all it really boils. That's all it boils down to. Some people don't have the information.
You don't need information.
And by the way, what's that? Read the headline.
What is that?
That goes to what you just said about
hypocrisy in the Democratic Party.
Angela Rye on hypocrisy in Democratic Party regarding action against Franken and Kanye's among sexual assault allegations. So it's the same thing.
But
like what you're talking
about. What is the argument? What is her argument?
I believe there's an argument that says believe all victims. You got to be kidding me about that.
That is the feminist.
Are you with that?
The third wave.
No,
feminist
it should be. Don't discredit anybody until all the facts of the case are
well
out.
said.
It shouldn't be don't discredit the accused. Don't discredit the accuser. Let's just wait and see what all the facts of the case are.
I saw a tweet from a prominent feminist who said,
Angela Rye.
Investigations ongoing were for African American members. Are you going to tell me that black members are more unethical than white members? I would tell you no. And so I'm not finished. I would ask this party to really take a hard look at what is really different here. I stand with the 12 members, not just of Mr. Conyers' personal office team, but former Judiciary Committee staffers who are very senior ranking, who have never experienced, I'm sorry, but this is really frustrating, never experienced Mr. Conyers doing anything like this. So I'm not saying that this woman is wrong, but what I am saying is that the Democratic Party needs to take a hard look in the mirror and treat these situations fair. Director.
So just real quick, if I can just get through this, and please don't interrupt me, let me just say the point. So what she's saying, 4 of the 6 people under investigation currently right now by the Ethics Committee happen to be black. And she's saying that because of that, it's racism, which is her go-to, right? No matter what happens, it's racism. That's how because she starts from a biased place of where's the racism, let me find it. So, for example, 99% of the executives that have been accused of sexual harassment in Hollywood right now happen to be white. Do I hear Angela Rye clamoring on CNN about the racism against white execs in Hollywood? Of course not, because when it happens to anybody but black people, they did it for their actions. But when it's something to do with a black person like Conyers, immediately it's, no, it's impossible that this person could have abused their power. It must be racism. Now, here's the thing. She had no problem saying that Trump who was accused of sexual harassment and sexual assault, was guilty. Now, when Conyers is accused, immediately it's racism. I see a lack of consistency, and when you have a lack of consistency and you don't have radical self-awareness and an ability to check your own bias, you're an unreliable source.
Can I talk now?
By all means.
3 things. Al Franken, right?
Yeah.
Pictures of him actually grabbing titties, right? Nobody asked Al Franken to step down. Conyers, who's the head of Congressional Black Caucus, he's just got allegations. But they're asking him to step down. Now,
people are asking Franken to step down.
No, they're not.
They are. How do you know they're not?
Who's asking them to?
People within the party.
Who are the people?
Who are the people asking whatever?
People in the Congressional Black Caucus are asking him to step down, and people in the Democratic Party are asking Conyers to step down based off allegations. Now, look, I'm not knocking none of the allegations because I don't know what's true and I don't know what's not true. But I know if it's pictures of Al Franken grabbing titties,
it's hard.
Then it should be a clamoring for Al. You need to step down too. The same way it's a clamoring. He was
a senator. He didn't abuse his senator power to do
what?
it. That's the argument that they'll make. If you're abusing your power as a senator to do it.
And with Trump, Trump had allegations, but Trump also was on video, once again, talking about grabbing by the pussy.
Yeah, but did he have a girl say he did that?
It doesn't matter.
Yes, it does. Because he said it. Yes, he does.
He's had over 16 allegations.
Oh, yeah, he did have over 16 sexual allegations, which you didn't know, which shocked me, by the way.
No. I'm not saying he didn't do it.
Let's talk about that because it goes back to what I said about how some people don't have all information.
Yeah.
We was in a group chat, and I brought up the 16 allegations.
What group chat is this that y'all are in?
You don't want it. Pastor Carl, stay far. Trust me. Trust me. It ain't for everybody. It ain't for everybody. Sometimes I look at this stuff and I'm like, do I really trust Van and Andrew this much?
Van's my guy, though. I love Van.
That's my guy.
I propose that you do not discriminate against me.
I don't know.
You put me on that group chat.
It's hard.
Van tried to put me in a new one the other day, and I was like, I don't know about this one, bro. I'm be honest with you. I was asking, who is this person?
Yeah, I can't. You can put random numbers? You can put random. No.
But I was talking about how Donald Trump has been accused. Of sexual, not accused. People have pressed charges. There's been charges brought up against him.
Multiples.
Andrew didn't know that.
Yeah. I didn't know. I wasn't aware of it.
So that goes back to the Lena Dunham thing.
And then I looked
maybe
up
Lena didn't know.
But I looked up the argument. But she knew about her friend.
No, I'm saying maybe Lena didn't know that Hillary had Bill had charges against him.
Did she watch the debate?
But you didn't know about Trump.
There's a chance.
But
you didn't know about Trump.
Yeah, but the 16 girls weren't in the front row in the debate.
One was. Everybody. They bought one came to one of the debates. Right. One came to one of the debates. Like they had her in the front row.
She's also unaccounted for right now.
She took that shit. No, one came to one of the debates. But I acknowledge that. I acknowledge immediately what you said when you said it. I didn't fight that, and I said absolutely. But my point is still consistent, which is these are allegations. So unless we have proof for these allegations, we can't back it up. Listen,
he said when you're a celebrity, women let you walk up to them and grab them by the pussy.
Sure.
That's all. I mean, it's audio of him being inappropriate.
You know what? Tupac said.
Okay.
You know what?
Every gangster rapper
said that they killed some people. You know what? I think we should lock them all up. That's a good point, bro. Lock up every T.I. Send T.I. back to jail, bro.
Are you comparing the president of the United States of America?
This is apples and steaks.
Exactly. To a rapper?
I'm just comparing justice, B. Like, you either believe in the justice system or you don't. Like, you want to grill. You always talk about, people are guilty in a court of public opinion, but when they're not, before they're guilty in a court of law. But then when it comes to the people you want to be guilty, you don't give a fuck about the law. Keep your same energy.
Okay, well, check
be
this out.
consistent. I'm consistent over here. I want justice for all. You want justice for some that you don't like.
Rich Homie Quan said in the record, a bunch of bad bitches in this room. I'm a rape one. Now, if Rich Homie Quan actually rapes the girl, then that shit is going to be held against him.
Right.
But up until then, it's just rap. Just like when stand-up comedians, like when Tracy Morgan gets on stage, Tracy Morgan says, if my son is gay, I would stab him. I really think Tracy Morgan would stab his son. No. Should Tracy Morgan be sent to fucking jail?
You'll never hear me make the argument that they should. I don't believe.
So why'd you bring up rappers with Donald Trump?
No, I don't think
it's for
disagree.
Your argument. I'm saying that's what you're making. Yes,
please. I think the argument is, I think we all agree that facts should tell the story. Yes. Period. You should be held accountable for facts. I saw something that a prominent feminist wrote recently, and her crux of her argument was this: I'm totally cool if a couple innocent men get lost in the fray of false accusation.
I wouldn't with that.
This is how you lose
the Teen Vogue chick.
This is how you absolutely lose the value of the argument, and people start shutting you off. That's the worst logic on earth.
What I say to that is this. I said it last week. It's the 3% argument. She's like, there are 3% that are falsely accused, and I'm totally okay with those people.
And that's an impossible stat to prove.
But let's just go by 3%, right? And she goes, and I'm totally okay with those 3 people falling so that the patriarchy can come to an end, or et cetera.
This is the most asinine logic.
And I'll tell you why
she should never be taken seriously.
Because this is the important of keeping the same energy and keeping consistency.
True.
Right? And this is why I try to keep people consistent, because I'll box her right into a hole right now. All I got to ask her is this. So 3% doesn't matter.
That's racist what you said. I'm kidding. It's not.
She's a white chick, by the way.
It's sexist.
But I said, so 3% doesn't matter, right? Now, let's go and talk about black people killed by the police. The percentage of black people that are killed by police compared to the amount of black people that are just killed every year, regardless of by whom, is less than 3%. It's probably less than 1%.
No, it's higher. I looked that up when you told me. It's actually like 7.6.
The percent of black people that are killed by police?
Yeah, they're killed at like 6 to 7 times more than white people.
No. But the exact percentage of them compared to how many black people were killed.
It's like 7.6.
Bring that up, but I don't even think it's a percent.
I looked it up when you said it. You should look it up before you start spewing these shit.
What's your point, though? Are you saying that that's...
The point is, do you also think that they don't matter? Do you also think that those black people that are killed by the police, since it's such a small percentage, let's say it is 7.6,
right.
it's not even close, but let's say it
I'm
is.
with you.
Do you also think that they don't matter? Should we go, that's the price of justice.
Right. That's why she's
the price of keeping people safe.
That woman who said that,
Emily Linden. I want to say her tweet because
trash argument.
because it's even worse. She says, "Here's an unpopular opinion. I'm actually not at all concerned about innocent." That's a big word.
She should be not
losing
taken seriously
their jobs
until
over
she
false sexual assault harassment allegations
from such an asinine thing to say.
That is mind-boggling. Like, now, listen, I respect her honesty, because that's a really honest statement.
I don't think that's honest.
No, that's honest.
I don't respect anything about that. I think it's ridiculous.
I think it's ridiculous.
Here's the thing, and I've been thinking a lot about this week, and this is the problem. Well, this is, I don't want to say the problem with moral honesty, but this is one of the hang-ups with moral honesty, is that, you know who's morally honest? ISIS. You know who's morally honest? This chick. But moral honesty.
No, she's not being morally honest.
Moral honesty doesn't necessarily mean truth. What moral honesty does is get you here. Moral honesty gets you here.
Y'all have to qualify the word honesty.
Well, here's the tricky thing, right?
Emily's being honest, but she's not being morally honest.
Okay.
Because morally honest wouldn't allow you to see innocent men getting taken down for something they didn't do.
She's willing to accept that, right? That is her honesty. Here's what I'm saying is moral honesty brings you to radical self-awareness. She should recognize how biased she is, right? And then knowing that, check it.
That's
she
being morally honest.
Not check it.
But how does
that's being not based off your morals, based off what's really moral. Just like we all know right and wrong. Remember how you said when
people have questions.
Remember how you said you became a pastor because when you just saw something wrong, you would intervene.
But my baseline is Jesus. So this is where I go when y'all are talking about moral honesty on your podcast. The first thing I was thinking was, y'all have assumed, rightfully so, kind of, that we have the same agreement on what's moral and what's honest. That's why that term is a stick of dynamite, because my definition of moral with that woman, whoever that is completely different.
Super immoral.
Are you kidding me?
I totally agree with you. If you want to see innocent, if you don't mind seeing innocent people taken down, that's immoral. Like we can't even talk anymore.
It's the opposite of equality or fairness. But that's how these things perpetuate, because people, I don't know anything about Angela Rye, except for when I found out about her because of you, Instagram, whatever. So I think that's the kind of woman that can bring change, because she's reasonable. Angel might disagree here and there, but I'm saying, like, she at least is trying to, go forward with logic.
Absolutely.
That chick, whoever wrote that, how she could still be taken seriously.
I think they're equally biased.
Nah,
I think that
I haven't seen that in Angela Rye. I've seen her get on air and crush people who deserve it.
Oh, she is a brilliant speaker.
I like it.
She's actually she's really intelligent.
And if a couple non-racist white people have to go down, I'm kidding.
Exactly. Now you got the Emily Linden argument. All I'm saying is, what ends up happening with the thought process of like an Angela Rye is you make yourself an unreliable source.
Well, people feel that way about you, Andrew.
Absolutely.
So I don't understand, but I feel like we feel like that about anybody we disagree with.
Define.
People feel that everything you said about Angela could be applied to you. They feel the exact same way about you.
How so?
They think that everything you do is based in bias. They think that you're not objective. They think that's where the alt-right thing comes from because they think you're racist. They think you're...
Hold on, you were accused of being alt-right?
Oh, man. What? Dude, a suspected
Andrew
white
Schulz
supremacist.
is not alt-right.
Of course I'm not alt-right, but
which means what? It's the same thing you're saying about Angela.
No.
What? You saying that she's racially biased. They're saying the same thing about you.
Right. So here's the difference, right? Everything I say, and I try hard, and I fail. We all fail at these things, but I try hard to root it in fact. Like one of the things that's very. Can I finish? One of the things that's very important.
You know what I'm saying?
One of the things that's very important is, and I try to say this a lot. Feelings are not facts.
True.
Just because you feel something doesn't mean that that's real.
Well, our country says the opposite right now.
And that is the problem. If I feel offended, let me change my entire life. I feel a different gender. I feel whatever. Whatever it is I feel, I go, well, that's what you feel. I have to, I don't give a fuck. I try my hard. I feel things just like everybody else, but I remove my feelings and try to get to the truth. Now, if somebody wants to call me all these things, alt-right, etc., it's because they don't acknowledge facts. They don't acknowledge logic.
But what facts are you spewing?
Name a fact I haven't. Name something that you dispute.
I don't hear factual things. I hear feelings. I've actually heard you say, I speak from the gut. like fuck facts. All I'm saying is, listen, all I'm saying is this.
Back up the accusation. You made an accusation.
I can't think of one right now.
Don't say it.
All right, well, whatever.
That's fair. I hold you accountable for things you say.
All right, so
I have facts.
follow your own rhetoric.
Facts.
Now, this is what I'm saying.
Yes.
When people disagree with you, they automatically say, they're racially biased.
Yeah.
And all I'm telling Andrew is people say the exact same thing about you. And if you say they're not, then you're lying to yourself. Listen, and guess what? But do you ever feel like you're being racially biased?
No, I'm being factually biased. I'm biased on facts.
Angela Rye feels the same way.
Listen, here's the thing, Charlamagne. I know what to say. I know how to pander to people. I know to say the right thing. I choose to be biased towards facts.
So you pander to the alt-right?
I don't pander to the alt-right.
Well, okay, so because what I'm trying to get to is
you have a Make America Great hat on right now. How you gonna prove me wrong on a podcast?
Real quick, let me just say something about the alt-right. Okay. So this is something that people do, right? In a way, when people don't want to acknowledge facts, what they do to discredit you, right?
Yep.
Is they dismiss you by giving you terms and labels. And we both do it. For example, PC the God is a term and label used to discredit you and your opinion. If you chose not to have an opinion on a certain topic, right? You might truly feel like you don't have an opinion. You don't want to say that. We have to allow people to not know.
Which I'm feeling more and more now, to be honest with you.
Richard, so
about not having an opinion.
I don't care.
It's called wisdom.
Word up. Boom.
So real talk. But here's the thing. What they do is you, by not agreeing with them, right? You, by not agreeing with them, that bothers them. That irritates them.
Andrew, I just told you that.
So the reaction.
When people don't agree with you, they label you things, whether it's racially biased, PC the God.
When you hear the playback, y'all go, this is absolutely, y'all are almost congruent.
Pastor Carl, always.
No. But here's the thing. So here's the thing about this. So, for example, let's say we're having a factual conversation about a specific thing Trump did, right? And let's say I don't disagree with the action, or I find facts to support the action. For example, a border wall.
You're willing to concede the other side of an argument if it's factually lining up.
So, example, this
Angela will not.
So, example, like this, just real quick. For example, this border wall. Or people say all this conversation all the time. Oh my God, he wants to send back all these Mexicans. That's so horrible. And I go, well, yeah, Barack Obama, who I support as a president, I loved as a president, sent back more Mexicans than any president in history. Are you okay with that? Well, it was different when he did it. No, keep the same energy. So my point is, if I'm okay with Barack doing it, it's okay.
Though? What about the nuance of Donald Trump calling all Mexicans drug dealers and rapists, generalizing all Mexicans, not making a clear distinction between the, illegals and the ones supposed to be there.
But that's not the discussion.
As a brilliant idiot moderator, here's what I'm picking up. You're saying you're more objective than Angela. That's period. That's all you're
undeniable.
Saying.
I don't agree with that.
That's not even a question. That's completely undeniable.
But I don't agree with that. And I talk to both of them all the time.
There you go.
I don't agree with
that. So objectivity is very important. But here's the problem. When you state an opinion that someone doesn't like, for example, that Trump situation, right? If I said that to somebody and they don't like that opinion, what they do is they hold your character hostage. They blackmail your character. Right? It's character blackmail. It's this.
I just figured it out.
It's this, right? So it's this. They go like this. Oh, are you disagreeing with me? You know what? You're sounding like a Trump supporter. Now, there's a cost to being a Trump supporter, especially in the entertainment industry, right? So if I call you a Trump supporter, that's really your way. That's what dictators do. I'm sorry, did you have a different opinion than me? Well, guess what? there's a penalty for different opinions. I'm going to label you as alt-right. I'm going to label you this because it's their way of saying you better come back over here.
Or maybe
motive disparagement.
Andrew's
they can't
right.
get you on the action in the
You don't want to acknowledge my facts. You don't want to acknowledge my logic.
I'm going to attack the person.
I'm going to attack your character. The other thing they do is
you're
a contrarian or you're playing devil's advocate. You know why you say that? Because you're not willing to acknowledge my facts.
But what if some of your
logic.
talking points, and I'm playing white devil's advocate.
Yeah.
What if some of your talking points, some of your so-called facts are things that have been echoed on Breitbart websites or in alt-right chat rooms? So if you're echoing sentiments that those people echoed, you can't get mad when people be like, well, damn, that sounds just like Richard Spencer. That sounds just like whoever, Ben Shapiro, or whoever else they label.
My argument would be back to that. Would go, well, they can still say things that are true sometimes.
So here's the thing. What you said is so brilliant. And this is important. This is the problem with biased thinking. When you leave the truth out there, motherfuckers find it.
Yep.
And if you are so biased in your thinking that you leave some truth out there, you know who ends up finding it? A piece of shit like Richard Spencer. A piece of garbage fucking website like Breitbart. They end up finding that little kernel of truth, and then it gets thrown in with 99% of their bullshit. I'm not afraid to acknowledge truth, even at a cost.
I don't believe that. And I'm going to tell you why. And this goes back to my next point. Andrew feels about race conversations the way people feel about religion. If you bring up race, Andrew dismisses whatever else you say after that.
Okay.
I see you do it with Van. I see you do it with Angela.
It's not true.
It's the truth. The first thing you'll tell Van is, Van, you bring race into everything. You're so blind. And then y'all start having a whole other conversation. Like whatever we were talking about originally, we don't even talk about it anymore because they start having this conversation about race. So the way people feel about religion, you know how you say you can't lead with religion?
Right.
That's how Andrew feels about race.
Just so we can acknowledge what's going on. First of all, what I said about Van is, and it was a similar critique that I have with Angela,
which I just said.
It's not saying that race isn't maybe the factor, isn't maybe the main cause of whatever we're discussing.
Right.
But in order to have an unbiased conversation about it, you need to check your bias. So Van has a very similar look as Angela, and he's admitted it in the podcast. You even, not even the podcast, he's admitted in the group text. You even called it out. The point is that
I can't get in the group text. You can't refer to something I can't get in.
So basically the point is Van will lead with race.
Not always.
I would suggest,
but a lot of
you know how
times,
you win this argument? Would be because you're doing unintentionally almost what you can be accused of.
Sure.
So if I'm in the spot, I'm going, there's a chance you might be right. I'm going to take a step back.
That is what
That's ultimate. Well, but what he's saying.
No, that's not what
what he just said to you was, this is what you do. And you said that's not true.
Exactly.
So my thing is, I get hit with this all the time. If I say one thing here, and like your point is true too, someone will be like, oh, well then you believe A, B, and C. No, just because I'm going to vote this way, I still agree that we need to have A, B, and C on tax reform. Right. It doesn't mean I agree with everything. But if someone's like, you do, I can't necessarily win by saying, no, you're wrong. I'm going to say, I wrote a chapter in my book called If You're Racist and You Know It, Clap Your Hands. The premise is this. Rather than say, I'm not racist, say, there's a chance I could be. That's all I'm asking.
Yo, I'm going to tell you why that's so real. Me and Van was texting this morning because we was talking about Gaddafi. I'm not up on Gaddafi like that. Right. I only know what Minister Farrakhan told me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just not up on Gaddafi like that. And so Van is like, but I see people defending Gaddafi. I'm trying to explain to him about the whole Libya thing. This has nothing to do with Gaddafi.
No.
Whether you agree Gaddafi should have been toppled or not is irrelevant. Barack, Hillary went in there, toppled him, didn't put the proper regime in place. It led to anarchy. Yeah. Regardless of how you feel about Gaddafi. Yeah. Now, when it comes to Gaddafi, I told Van, well, if those people are saying good things about Gaddafi, why not ask them why they are saying good things? Why not ask them what they like about Gaddafi?
Right.
Like, it's nothing wrong with that. Instead of just being like, Gaddafi's a dictator, Gaddafi's bad, he's this, he's that, he's this, he's that. Why don't just ask? And I'm not saying it might not even change your opinion, but why not ask?
So you might be you have a situation with Gaddafi, right? Where and this is a perfect example. In America, half the country likes the president, half the country hates him, or whatever the percentages are. But I'm pretty sure with a dictator, some people like the guy, some people don't.
Bro, yes.
We only listen to the people who hate the dictator because it meets with our political agenda.
And America makes all these guys look like the boogeyman so they can go in there and kill them and take their fucking oil or their fucking vibranium. I don't know what
you might be less objective than you think due to your passionate stances. I think that's the only argument that could be made.
I think that I truly believe, because it's part of, I value clear thought more than anything in the world, and I know that my knee-jerk reaction, and this is one of the things that I love about religion, right, is our primal urges. I see a woman, I want to have sex with her, and then religion told me, or God told me, hey, you're married, you shouldn't do that. So we've created a way to behave, and we've used God or used religion to help us behave in a way. I don't think we've done the same thing with thinking. I don't think that we've rejected our primal thought. Our primal thoughts are to go with our bias. Our primal thoughts are to think tribally and go with whatever the tribe says and go with whatever the reward is. So I am, much like a Christian or much like a Jew or much like a Muslim, is trying to break down my primal thought urges constantly. And when I see somebody who I think is biased in their thinking, like Van can be in certain instances, when we're talking about football, there's no bias. But when we're talking about a political issue that could have a racial agenda in it,
whatever you hold most dear,
he's going to go with it.
So your thing you hold most dear is clear thought. Therefore, the biggest danger for you will be lack of clear thought due to your protection of it.
You're absolutely right.
So,
you're absolutely right. And I think what I do is I push away almost obvious circumstances.
Yeah, you smell it, and once you do, it's over for you.
So I push
Angela,
it away.
You're going, nah, she doesn't value my number one value.
Absolutely.
And so you automatically have a bias.
I have a bias towards her because she doesn't value what I value, which is clear thought. Absolutely. Yeah. Much like I'm sure, you might have a bias towards other religions. You're like, no, I know my guy's God.
White evangelicalism. Like, that would be something immediately where I already have to work through the fact I think that you missed the plot.
Is it even possible to have unbiased thought?
No, that's why I always trace it back to the big advantage of being a Christian, which is my favorite thing, is that I die to all that, and Jesus said, I am the truth. I am the way. So whatever I feel, if it doesn't match up with that, I'm out. I gotta lay it down.
Dude,
Therefore, Christians who apparently are running the country and electing this president, that's why it's so murky right now, because this stuff should not be hard. As a Christian, I don't care what my thought is. Does it match up with what God said? If it doesn't, guess what goes? Not God's thought, my thought.
Yeah, but you can't believe these people. I mean, I agree with everything you're saying, but I mean, these are the same dudes that are fucking little girls.
But I'm saying, this is why it's so murky, but this goes back to the same point. I'm lumped in with these guys.
Right.
I'm like, nah, we're over here. We're right. These guys are misusing it. So that's the murkiness of culture.
He's actually consistent, because the guys fucking the little girls or the little boys are not going Jesus' way, right? Like, I think basically what Jesus saw, or what religion sees, is, hey, human beings are flawed. We're some flawed motherfuckers.
So I'm a savior.
This is the way to do it.
Correct.
And listen, you're not going to act this way all the time, but try your best. And that's how I want to create like a commandments of thought, because I think we have thought. I really do. I want to, and because I think
in this scenario, you're putting yourself in the God seat.
I told him.
Hey, that's daddy, bro.
Listen,
that's daddy, bro.
Andrew keeps talking about these commandments of thought because he wants people to be free thinkers. I'm like, Andrew, if you're telling people how to think, then they're not going to be free thinkers.
Yeah,
like you're telling them how to think.
I hear you. I hear you loud and clear. You
can't. Yes, you can't say, "Hey, I want y'all to think freely," but say, "This is how you should think."
I'm not telling you how to think about something.
Your favorite Bible verse that you don't know yet is right here.
I'm giving.
Write it down. Yeah. Romans 12.
Bring it down.
It says,
what is that?
"Do not be conformed to the patterns of this world, but be transformed through the renewing of your mind." So the entire concept of our faith is this world gets you thinking like this.
Yeah.
It doesn't say change your behavior. It doesn't say change smoking, drinking. No. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind, meaning the whole purpose of being a Christian is God has to, when people say, are you brainwashing? We're like, yeah. If your brain is as dirty as mine, I need a power wash.
Word.
Right? That's essentially Christianity is a constant reworking, because my sinful mind goes like this, human nature. When you're a Christian, you acknowledge that's happening. God steps in. And sometimes you revert back.
Yes.
So my goal is to try to get this. That's why I can't do that on my own. So I have to have God do that.
That's all I'm saying. We have thought sins too. Biased are thoughts, and not thought sins in terms I want to jerk off or I want to have sex with a chick, but in terms of like, I'm going to be blatantly biased about this situation. I'm not going to think clearly. And I think that we all need somebody, maybe somebody or a person. It's like the scientific method.
But isn't blatant bias subjective? Meaning that isn't blatant bias subjective?
Facts aren't subjective.
Meaning that you think Angela Rye's being blatantly biased. Some people think you're blatantly biased. And when some people think Van's being blatantly biased. Like that's all. It's all subjective. Like it's all we have to do, and we just got to learn to disagree. Like we can agree to disagree. Like what's wrong with just sharing thoughts without saying somebody's wrong?
Disagreement does not have to lead to disparagement, which then leads to disagreement. Does not always have to lead to disparagement. Disparagement then always leads to disconnection. Disparagement is what we were talking about. I disagree. Now I'm going to disparage you. You're a bad person.
Yes.
How about disagree? I'm going to think on that. I love you. I respect you. So I do not like this thought. I have the right to not like this thought, but I do not have to make it.
And let me go do some research on it.
Listen, we tax disagreement, and we need to cut that tax immediately. And that is a problem. We also tax not knowing, and that's part of this. What this all stemmed from is I hang out with my friends that I feel like don't judge me at all.
Are these your white friends at your Trump rallies?
You know what? Listen, my alt-right guys, we get our haircuts together, we comb it right over, we put on
by the way,
khakis.
He got a haircut one time, and it was like, look at Andrew has embraced the alt-right haircut.
Listen, I've had this haircut for fucking 25 years, but all of a sudden I'm embracing this. Exactly. That's right, man. Hey, Carl got the alt-right haircut.
You don't think there's no MAGAs that can get busy on the court?
Nope, not one.
So... But what I realize I value, and what I value about our conversations on the podcast, in a lot of ways, and what it's been hindered a little bit by the culture we have right now is like when we started this podcast, we would say the wildest shit,
bro.
Like it was so crazy.
I told him take down some shit the other day off. I was like, take that shit down.
It's so I'm telling you, like the old
episodes. You can edit this. Let me just curse one time.
So I go, why were we so able to do it? And you know what it was? There was no cost for disagreement. There was no cost for even not knowing, and there was no cost for having a different opinion. We loved and flourished in this area, and as it got bigger and more popular, what happens
started to feel the pain
people
of
tax you, and we've both felt it financially. The financial cost and the career cost of having an opinion that wasn't necessarily wrong, but was different than a certain tribe.
He's right, and I'm so perplexed on how that happened because
get this verse exactly.
It's like. And I hate to say this, but Donald Trump should have made things better.
Because it's like, we saying anything now, big.
Yeah. Like, why, if the leader of the free world can say whatever the fuck he wants, when he wants, why did everybody else get so politically correct now?
So that's extra.
Gotcha.
On that on Sunday.
So here's one of the things that, and when it comes to this free thought, what I loved about it, and what I still love about our group chats, and what I love about
I'm not on the group chat.
We're going to get you on the group chat, but even our personal conversations, right, is that we have this situation where, for the most part, we can say whatever opinions we want without judgment, and we can flourish creatively in this environment. And I think that is what drew me to this idea of free thought. If we can create a system of free thought, but like you said, not punishing disagreement, not punishing not knowing, then we can actually have those conversations. You have a wild opinion, and instead of me shutting you off, I go, well, tell me about that. You might have a point there. What's going on? Even if I disagree.
Oprah Winfrey says when she sits down with people, which you sat down with Oprah for Super Soul Sunday podcast. I love Super Soul podcast. Oprah said every conversation she has, only thing she wants to leave with is her saying to herself, I never thought about it that way. So that's when you know it's a productive conversation. When you leave saying, I never thought about it that way.
Is this the first time it's happened on Brilliant Idiots? Here's exactly what it says. Ready? Literally everything we talked about.
I'm taking notes.
Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is. His good, pleasing, perfect will. Gets even worse. For the grace God has given me to say to every single one of you, don't think of yourself more highly than you ought, but rather think of yourself with sober judgment in accordance with the faith God has given to each of us. So in
What's
that
one on that thing? What did you say?
Think about it.
Bring it down for.
So do not listen. So do not be conformed to the patterns of this world.
Okay.
But be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And then he goes on to say right after that, he says what? He says, don't think of yourself more highly than you ought, but with sober judgment. Everything about our thinking makes us think we're better and right and smart and wise.
Yes.
And he's saying, slow your roll. Let God rewind this. And what happens when you go down to your base level? You go, man, maybe I don't know everything. So the essence of this thing right here is I don't trust my mind. And we have a legal system. We have a cultural system based on idiots who are saying my mind's right. Your mind is not right. Imagine letting your kid just do what he feels. Yeah. Roman, what you feel like today? Xbox and Cheetos. Word. Let me honor that. No, not word.
Yeah.
You don't think right. So that's as a Christian, I should be better. I should have the advantage because I'm already saying my mind is not right. God needs to change it.
And you have a moral compass for it.
Correct.
God is your moral compass.
But that's why I said this a couple weeks ago. I'm not afraid to unlearn anything that I've learned, and I'm approaching every day of my life now like an empty cup. I don't know nothing. Remember when I was talking about the TV network?
Continue to shine because of that. It's unavoidable. You can hear it in your voice. You can hear it in your views. And you know what happens when you do that? God expands your platform.
Yes.
Because there is an empty lane of people who will be strong, bold, but also humble enough to say, I might be wrong.
Yeah.
I might be wrong.
Not I might be wrong. We have been wrong.
Right. But even on the stuff you believe most passionately about, I might be wrong.
Listen, people were going at you a little bit, and some people were even messaging me like about you being PC because you didn't want to comment on the trans thing. And I was defending you.
You have a comment on everything?
But I was defending you in the DMs for two reasons. Mm-hmm. And I was like, listen, I don't like the label of alt-right, or I don't like the label of like a Trump supporter, right? Because
you love it. You don't like it, you love it.
No, it's dismissive of me and my logic. Right? And I go, I can't label him PC. I can't label him social justice warrior because it's dismissive of his logic. You might have logic that led you to that reasoning.
I'm wise enough to know I don't know shit about their world. I don't know anything about their world.
And it didn't resonate with me, but it resonates with me now. He goes, you said something to the extent of, I want to be able to not know. And there is nothing, bro, we're not going to know everything.
It's okay to not know.
It's okay, and we got to stop punishing people for not knowing. Like if somebody says it could be about any issue, it could be about Libya. He goes, well, what do you think we should do with Libya? You could say honestly, dog,
I don't know.
You're gonna catch yourself on the playback because that was his defense of Dunham earlier.
Yeah,
well, she might not know.
She might not
know.
And
you were like, how could she not?
No.
You missed the forest.
What I was saying with Lena was she knew the guy because she worked with him. Okay. That's why she defended him, and I supported that. Not
which
that
is nothing. Which, by the way, there's nothing wrong with that.
I loved her logic. She used nuance. She used facts to make a decision.
Yeah. She shouldn't have discredited the accuser, though.
Yeah, right. But she
should have just said, "Hey, man, I know this guy. I don't think he did anything. Yeah. I would hope he didn't do anything. Yes. But I'm just." I don't know. I wouldn't have said shit. Like, it's okay that. Why does she have to comment? That's what I wanted. Why does she have to comment publicly?
She got to comment about everything.
Fuck that. I'm telling you, man, that is going to be the downfall of us all. I'm learning as I get older, just sit back, observe, pay attention, come to my own conclusions about things. Yeah. If you ask me, I might tell you.
Gangsters don't dance.
Yeah, that's right. Just stay cooling, bro. Stay cooling.
Do the rockle.
There is something to that. Like the idea, like if somebody poses something really, and this happens to us in a group chat all the time. Van will try to like get me on something completely obvious, but that's wrong. It could be something like, Trump has banned trans people from the military, right?
What do you feel about that, Andrew?
Schulz? And this is what I'll say. I'll be like, when I read this sentence right here, when I read this shit, man. When I read it, and I've thought a lot about this actually, but when I read this sentence, right, my knee-jerk reaction is that sounds completely wrong. And then I'll follow up with, but I don't know enough to give you a nuanced answer. I don't have enough facts about it. And when I start researching...
That's not what happens in the group chat. Van will ask him some shit like that. Andrew will look at it. No Van trying to fuck with him, and Andrew will say some wild shit. Then for the next hour or so, they are going back and forth.
You can smell out someone who's stupid, and you will exploit it. I've gotten in trouble doing the same thing. Like if someone's like, "Carl, you believe this?" I'm like, "Oh, we have an idiot on."
I look at the group chat sometimes. I'm like, "What the fuck are they?" I'm like, "They're not even serious."
It's so funny when Charlamagne checks out. He'll be in there for like 5 or 6.
Because I know it. I'm like, I know y'all bullshitting each other. You know what I'm saying? Like they just it's a big dick contest at that point. Yeah. It's funny. Yeah. But it's like let's talk. I'll be back when we talk about something productive, guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Something productive.
Pastor Carl, he has a book out right now called Own the Moment. It's a great read. You should go get it.
Yep.
This is wherever books are sold. If you've never been to Hillsong, you should go. I haven't been, but I want to go.
To Hillsong, man.
Why don't you have a building?
Just price, money. Like part of the cost of planting a church in the inner city, like with this, like a metropolitan area, is the extreme cost. So to find a building that would seat our church, and we're looking at hundreds of millions of dollars. So we rent the Hammerstein right now, every week. And we're just waiting to see what.
Wait, where's the Hammerstein?
2 blocks from MSG. Hammerstein Ballroom, Manhattan Center.
Okay,
That's up top. Hammerstein's underneath.
Yes, I knew.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful space, yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
You got to stop doing what's morally right and start getting this money, man.
Creflo dollar that shit, bro. That's what you need to do. Creflo got a plane. Y'all renting. You know what I mean? Come on now. This is Jesus'
You really want to
earth.
save people? I thought you was in it for the money, Pastor.
How you
Carl.
paying rent and you own it?
Damn.
Lord help us. No, everybody's welcome. But the thing is about our church, this is our. I mean, we're brothers, we're family. So that's that. You know, if you come to church, great. But church is more than that. It's more than a building. But we have a building, and 10, 12:30, 5, 7:30. Everybody welcome. Who you are, no matter where you've been, what you've done, what you believe, you're welcome.
I love Pastor Carl. Pastor Carl's a great guy. He always hits me up and sends me affirmations and messages for no reason, and he don't even be realizing sometimes I be really needing that.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate Pastor Carl.
I appreciate
Pastor Carl makes me feel like how you used to treat your side chicks. Like, you know, you send him Maya Angelou quotes and shit like that.
I was trying to uplift him.
I know, and then he'll do that to me. He'll be like, listen, I listen to podcasts, man. You're a strong voice when you need you. I'm like, you know what? I am a strong voice, and people do need me.
Y'all have an impact on our culture. You do, and it's funny, and y'all talk a lot of craziness as well. But you know, God's given y'all a gift, and I think you're going to steward it well.
Thank you, my brother.
My man, thank you.
Now, as always, if you listen to this podcast, you think we're smart, you think we're intelligent.